You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio.
Welcome back to TexAgs Stacked. I'm Billy Liucci.
Ryan Broniger here.
Make a mistake. We're not going anywhere. This is going to be a great program, and we're building it into a great program.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I stand by what we do and how we do it.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
That's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
And how about that? The new intro here on TexAgs Radio. September 1st, 2023, a day that will live in infamy? I don't know.
Infamy? I don't know if it's infamous.
It's not infamous, no.
How about infamy?
How about next time we do the edit, Olin Buchanan makes a debut?
Well, hey, as long as Broniger's in, right? You know, I'm only here every day for the last 10 years, but okay.
Hey, I've requested.
As long as we got Broniger.
Ask Nick.
That's what really matters.
I've requested the change. My voice cracked there.
I'm joking around.
But welcome in, everybody.
I'm fine being an offensive lineman.
Hey, as long as you're Bryce Foster, buddy, right? Just be healthy, okay?
Yeah.
Just make it to each show, which one thing I know you will. Hey, it's Friday, Game Day Friday. By the way, if you would like to tell us what you think about that intro, if you hate it, too bad. If you like it, tell us about it, right? On the text line, 979-693-1150. But, OB, we're finally at a Friday game day where it gets a little kooky here, right? We get a little crazy on Fridays. We got the final countdown coming up a little bit later. Brian Jones of CBS Sports is going to join us at 9 o'clock with Billy. And we're going to have a fun Go Hour, which is presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations.
Yes, it is.
I don't even think I told us the name of the show.
Now, who'd you say was going to be here with him? Brian
Jones, CBS Sports.
Oh, yeah.
I love Brian Jones.
I used to actually, he went to Texas and he was.
But he doesn't
Austin.
act like a Texas guy.
He's a good dude. He used to be in the Austin media when I was covering Texas.
Yeah.
So I'd come across, cross paths with him every week.
He's become a big national dude.
He's got a big personality.
Very. By the way, I think he's pretty complimentary of A&M typically. He doesn't have the Barrett-Sallee syndrome, which is anti-A&M at all.
I think of Brian Jones as a guy. I don't necessarily think of him as, quote, complimentary of A&M. I think he is objective.
There you go. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah.
He's not going to be out of his way to say, I don't like Oregon, so I'm going to talk, bad about Oregon. Just like, who's the guy at the Colorado, Joel Klatt.
Oh.
Guys just, I'm going to have certain issues with certain programs, and so always going to, no matter what, dump on them. It's kind of like Barrett. Brian's just kind of the guy that says, this year I think A&M is going to be good, so I'm going to say, if I think they're going to be bad, I'm going to say they're going to be bad. If I think Texas isn't going to be good, he'll say Texas isn't going to be that kind of guy.
He's one of the national guys. If you text him, he responds pretty immediately. He's just a very nice guy. So we're looking forward to
I saw him on Ricky Lake once.
He was on the Ricky Lake show?
Yeah, I was just flipping through the channels, and apparently...
No, I think you watched Ricky Lake.
No, I really didn't. Okay. But I recognized Brian Jones. I went, what? And it's like some girl from high school was mad at him.
How many people... I know our audience will know Ricky Lake, but how many people who work in this building, downstairs, I should say?
If you know The Offspring, you know that band, The Offspring?
No, I don't.
And they have that song called Pretty Fly for a White Guy.
Oh, yeah, I know that song. Yeah.
Ricky Lake's in their chorus.
I think, isn't that like a 90s song?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is there's no chance Nick knows who Ricky Lake is. Dalton, probably no chance. Richard, they're probably Googling.
She was a fat girl on TV.
Okay, let's talk about the first game, buddy. Look. First game of the season. I hope A&M gets a fat win, buddy. That's what I hope.
I do too. Like 50 points fat.
Well, look.
I'm still saying, I don't care what Liucci or anybody else says. I say expect and even demand an offensive explosion. Be like Barry Switzer. Let's hang a half 100.
Vegas thinks 38's the number, so why not go over?
Why not?
And it's like, this is what we've been talking about literally for a year, maybe 2 years, right?
I don't think you brought in Bobby Petrino to have an okay offense. And with I still say the combination of Bobby Petrino and Connor Wigman and Anaya Smith and Moose Muhammad and Evan Stewart and those running backs, I think it screams for 50 points against a team.
Now, I don't think it's a finished product today or tomorrow. I don't think it's a finished product. I think that you're going to see growth of the offense. But considering what has transpired over the last year, considering the lesser opponent, I'm sorry, I don't think New Mexico is any good. I was, we'll do a pick six later on the show, and I'm trying to think, do I want to take because there's a part of me that still is like, but they don't score 38 points a game. But this is not the same A&M team, or at least it shouldn't be.
It never is the same.
Right.
Of course, you don't have Devon A-Chain. I wish you had. Then I would have said score 60. Look, all I know is last year's playoff teams regularly put up 50 in non-conference games.
So go put up 50.
Except for Georgia. But, they were a team that, hey, we've already won a national championship. What do we got to prove? And we're doing it with defense. But,
OB, I'm sure you didn't look at the rundown. I should have prepared you for this. That's not the rundown. 3 things we want to see. We do this on Fridays, okay? Mm-hmm. I want to hear from you 3 things that you want to see. Do you want me to go first while you gather your thoughts?
No, I know what I always want to see.
Tell me.
Okay. I want to see things we didn't see last year.
Okay.
I want to see a dominant pass rush.
Yes. Talk to me.
I saw Utah get 5 sacks last night against a SEC team in Florida. Why couldn't A&M, with all those 5-star and 4-star defensive linemen that you brought in, they're supposed to be star players, and I think they are. Why can't you get 5 against New Mexico?
Right.
I want to see a strong run defense.
Oh, yeah. Talk to me.
And I want to see an explosive offense. I want to see big plays. I want to see them in bunches.
Yeah, I like to see that.
I want to see a whole plethora of big plays, plague of big plays.
What did Utah do last night against Florida on the very first offensive play?
Threw deep, baby.
And did they score?
They scored 70-yard touchdown.
With their starting or backup quarterback?
Their backup quarterback.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was Money. Actually, he threw to Money.
Is that who caught it?
That's the guy's name. He goes by Money something.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten his last name.
Here are my 3 things. And there's, of course, they're pretty similar. An explosive / vanilla offense. I want to see what this new offense looks like at its vanilla base and how much better and fast. Because it's going to be vanilla against New Mexico. We're not going to see any craziness, but it's going to move more. Does it move more efficiently? Is it more creative? And do we feed the studs in space? That's what I want to see. I want it to be basic, but move. And you're going to feel like, oh, this is what it looks like now, and this is the easiest form of it? Let's go. That's what I want to see. That's one. I want to see a line that doesn't struggle with twists and turns and, I want to see, you're a bigger dude, you're better, do it.
Yeah, because if twists and turns against New Mexico compromises, you can't handle it. Well, then if I'm Auburn, I'm going to say, hey, let's twist and turn.
Yeah.
Let's Arkansas. Hey, they couldn't handle against New Mexico. Let's do it.
We should listen to Twist and Shout on the way back.
Shake it up, baby.
And then, I'll be very similar to you, getting to the quarterback. I want to see sacks.
Sacks. Paper or plastic?
Both.
Both of them.
I want to have as many sacks as possible.
That's right.
Do you think they understand that line?
I don't
Paper or
know.
plastic?
Sack up.
Sack it up. So, look, that all these things, there's more I could have added. Do I want to see them stop the run? Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things I want to see. But I think if you start getting to the quarterback, I'm going to feel a lot better about stopping the run.
What if you stop the run and put that quarterback in 3rd and long consistently and then sack him?
Or you tip it because you get to him so fast. And linebacker with an interception.
Let's get some interception. They had 4 last year. That's another thing I want.
should rename this 20 things I want to see because there are at least 20
There
I
are a
want
lot
to
of
see.
things I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see pressure all the time.
I think because
under pressure, play that.
We did the new intro. We didn't really say the name of the show. We did the Go Hour, but we didn't say this is TexAgs Radio.
It is TexAgs Radio.
And we are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Our friend David Gardner.
He's a great guy.
Great guy.
And we are in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Our
Another
friend
great guy.
Jason Rollo.
my good friend Jocko Willick, and Jason Rollo.
Jason, whose father-in-law's a football coach.
Yeah, and Jackson Rollo, his son, or grandson to the grandfather, whatever. Yeah, you got me.
His grandfather's a
all great
football
people.
coach.
You, pretty good dude.
Nah, I'm pretty much a D-bag, but that's okay.
Well, hey now. Let's say hello to somebody who's not. Behind the glass, we find our director, producer extraordinaire, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. Love the new intro. You're right, OB. We need. I know we need you in there. I think I just might take your hang a half 100 on them and put that in there somewhere. I think that would be a good addition. But
hey,
I'll keep listening
Nick,
for some good sound bites.
Because, I don't mind confrontation. In fact, I kind of run to it.
Okay.
But I'm also a nice person. What did I tell you yesterday when I saw the intro? I said to add this dude.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he knows it wasn't like in the moment.
Oh,
I feel bad.
I'm fine being an offensive lineman.
And you're a darn good one.
Show up, get the job done. People ignore you. You're unappreciated, but fine. It's okay because I'm just about going out and getting the job done.
You're like Jameer Johnson 2021. You're needed on that offensive line.
I would like to think I was more like Kenyon Green. I would like to think. I think I'm pretty popular with the old crowd.
Well, at the Texans, they're not so happy with that pick right now. But
let him get healthy. He got hurt?
Yeah, he got hurt.
He got
poor guy. Hey, Nick, what else you got for us?
Well, excited for the game tomorrow, obviously. But just do want to say thank you to Texas Filmworks for helping us put that intro together. Kelsey, Joe helped us do it all. So, and now it's in my hands, so I get to tweak it and whatnot. So I'm still learning it, but we'll update it. And, just excited, ready to go tomorrow, ready to have a game to talk about.
Like Jameer Johnson, I did come here from Tennessee, so. Yeah.
See? It does work out.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Look at the parallel. By the way, on that intro, I'm surprised we haven't heard from Dave and Edmond because he's the dude who'd been texting us for 2 years. When are we going to change the intro? Well, it's been changed. Also, the way it's set up, and Nick, help me understand if I'm understanding correctly, we can change the sound bites, per season. We're not going to do it every week. But we can change. It is movable.
Change the sound bites.
I liked it.
We can change the clips in there and all that good stuff. So it's going to be fun.
I like that. Sports. Texas A&M, Aggie.
Yeah, very good.
I liked it.
Yep. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. The Angry Elephant, like your politics, love your bar. Find an Angry Elephant near you in Bryan, College Station, Magnolia, San Antonio. Great place to go. It is
the P.O. Pachyderm.
TheAngryElephantBar.com. Anyway, Hannah Harrison there at the News and Social Center there. And, Hannah, this is your first real Friday. You did Friday last week, but this is like a cray-cray Friday.
This is Football Eve Friday.
That is right.
This is the exciting Friday, but good morning.
Well, good morning to you.
Yeah.
Very formal start to the show. Let's get into it. What do you got?
Okay. Well, so 1150 number says, easy trivia question for you. Who's credited with coming up with the term sack? You know?
This sounds like
Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones.
Good job, guys. Olin, you have an army coming for you. Like, we might be getting knocks at the doors. Like, there's people angry that you're not in the intro.
See, I'm Kenyon Green.
Yeah. No, people are angry. But other than
he's
that,
got to beat him by Monday. He's in the, I hope, not Monday of 2024. He'll be in the intro.
It's like I said, I'm okay. I'm okay being the offensive lineman.
No, oh, yeah.
But you have to say that. I can defend it.
Well,
we're going to fix it.
That's nice. I'm just saying it's,
Well, other than that, though, we've had nothing but love for the new intro. So
good.
Yay. Good job, everybody. Good job, Texas Filmworks.
Very good.
Good job, Nick.
Edmond, you were not shadow banned. Dude, you are like that. You've asked that like 4 times. Stop. You're not shadow banned. I don't actually ban people ever.
Dave and Edmond, I don't know what he does, but he must be doing pretty well. Edmond's actually a very nice town up there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He texts a lot, too. He must not be working that much.
Well, maybe
TexAgs
is more important than work.
Yeah, as it should be. Or A&M football is.
Yeah.
Had any other news for us?
No, there's just a question on what baked goods you'll be bringing to the tailgate tomorrow.
David Nuño or Olin?
No, Nuño. Well, I guess Olin, too.
No, well, I won't be there.
Oh.
You make an appearance, don't you?
No, I do the pregame show.
Oh, that's right. And on the other side, on University. It's over on
Northgate.
Oh, have fun, buddy.
At the Rough Draft Whiskey Bar.
Have you figured out your parking situation yet?
No.
You just park here and walk the 2 miles?
I don't know what I'm going to do. I might get a unicycle.
Yeah.
Get one of the scooters.
By the way,
that's a good idea.
People do need to come by the tailgate, say hello. I should be here for part of it. I don't know how long. I've got a hit with KBTX, humble brag there. That'll be doing a pregame show. All right, ACC approves to invite Stanford, Cal, and SMU. OB, what say you?
I think they've just solidified the exit of Florida State and Clemson, the first opportunity those programs get. Because I know Florida State was against it.
Mm-hmm.
What say me? I think it's hilarious that now Cal and Stanford, who are always against being with church-affiliated schools, hey, SMU, hey, yeah, sure,
Come on.
We'll be with and I do think it's how crazy it to go from the Pacific Coast Conference to, well, I know it's Pac-12, but to the, I mean, you are, especially, well, really for both, but especially, you're literally on the water. I mean, right next to the water, on the coast of the Pacific Ocean, but you're in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
It's ridiculous.
Maybe they should just call it the Ocean Coast Conference.
So, like, I've kind of, making this about me for a moment, I've kind of complained a little bit because Annalise, my daughter, has games, like she plays in a soccer league where you have to travel. Yeah. And she's in Denver this weekend she'll leave school early to go to two regular season games in the Colorado area. That's a 2.5-hour flight. That's ridiculous to me. And she's 12. I think it's even more ridiculous that kids on the West Coast are going to take a 4.5-hour flight to get to their games against ACC schools.
Yep.
Is it even? Could it be longer? Is it maybe a 5-hour flight?
It could be. I mean, if you're going from, say, San Francisco Airport to, well, who's going to be to Clemson?
To Clemson? That's at least a 5-hour flight, right?
I would think. I mean, I don't know.
I don't do math very well, but I think.
I know one time I flew from Atlanta to Los Angeles. I covered the Georgia spring game on Saturday and the USC spring game on Sunday. And it seemed like it was a 5-hour flight, but I did have a stop in Vegas, so maybe it wasn't. And I slept part of it.
I love this one. This is the last thing about you not being in the intro. Rhett on the YouTube page. By the way, can you like, comment, subscribe, and do all the things you're supposed to do on YouTube? Our numbers are going up, and it's good for the company. So if you're listening to this show, half of you who watch on YouTube haven't subscribed yet. We know the numbers. We know who you are. We will come to your house.
Oh, and by the way, let me throw this in before you. So I've had some people rag on me about needing a haircut. I'm not cutting my hair till the Aggies lose. So I'm hoping I'll look like Forrest Gump about the 4th time he went across country.
I really want you to do that anyway, even if they lose.
Okay, but back to...
All right, so here's Rhett. Can we get Olin's cameo from Friday Night Lights in the intro? Now that is a good idea.
Mox?
Best 2 seconds of your life?
Oh, that's actually on there for probably 30 seconds.
Is it that long?
Yeah, well, the whole thing.
It's been a minute since I've watched it.
Hey, how does it feel to be out of Lance Harbor's shadow and showing everyone you were underrated?
That was your line?
That was the first one. The second one was like, and we all want to know about you playing play ball in the Ivy League. Had to, hang on that eye a little bit.
Did they tell you to do that?
No, but I was just, they had me in there because they like my East Texas accent. That's the only reason why.
You're a thespian, Obi.
I am a thespian.
I'm glad we left it there. All right, Fargo's time.
Acting.
How would Shakespeare Olin, East Texas accent, tell the people about Fargo's?
I'd say a rib tip by any other name at Fargo's no rib tip by any other name would be as sweet as those at Fargo's.
See, I knew you'd come up with something good about it, but it's
friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your rib tips.
Any more? Come on, one more.
One more.
Et tu, Brute? I don't know.
I'm trying to think what Hamlet said. Oh, alas, poor Yorick. He never went to Fargo's.
We're so stupid. We are, not you. On Fridays at Fargo's, you can get what?
On Fridays, you get the 4 C's.
Yeah.
You get some catfish, some coleslaw, some corn, and some crunchy hush puppies. Crunchy hush puppies.
And then on Saturdays, if you really are in the mood for ribs, you go where?
You go to Fargo's. You get the ribs and the tips.
You get both?
The rib tips.
It's so good.
It's so good.
They've been around for 22 years. Football weekends, office parties, weddings, anniversaries. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the what?
The best barbecue in the world. In the world.
And that's their trademark.
It's true.
That sounds more like Dracula.
Well, maybe they got a Dracula Shakespeare.
He's got to eat too, right?
Et tu, Fargos.
I think we took this one a little too far. It's Fargos. Go check it out. 2, 1.
Is this going to be the Beatles version or the Isley Brothers?
I think it's the Beatles, no?
Probably.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Hey, we're TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo
Hannah's
Insurance
over there
Studio.
dancing.
A lot of text messages going on. OB was doing some art during the segment, during the break, I should say. I'm not going to bring up the why, but a little art.
I was biting my nail, which is a bad habit, and
Yes.
I bit it to the point where it bled, and so and it kept bleeding, and I was wiping it on this piece of paper, and now it looks like...
Do not show it. Do not. It's so much blood. It's so much more than it should be.
It looks like an outbreak.
Guarantee Billy doesn't sit in that section. That's a fact.
Well, you're welcome.
God. Text message 321. It is to go hour presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. OB, it is now time to bring back a name that we know. It's OB's Matchups, brought to you by the Bach Realty Group. Bach Realty Group, brokered by Real, is a full-service residential real estate team run by a former TexAgs radio host. You know him as Gabe Bach and his wife, Megan. Go check them out. They will take care of you. Megan and their team is ready to help you, from luxury to new construction to farm and ranch, first-time buyers, investment properties, and much, much more. Let Bach Realty Group be the Aggies you trust for all of your real estate needs. All right, OB.
Yeah, Gabe's the guy. It was his idea to put me on the radio.
It was his idea?
Yes.
Huh. And it's still on.
And I'm still...
At least until 11.
Until Billy gets here.
Yeah. So the first one we're going to focus on is, look, when we talk about scoring a lot of points, it's because we believe in the quarterback, and we believe they're going to air it out in this new system. So the matchup really is Connor versus that New Mexico secondary.
Yeah, I guess. You could say the receivers too, but I know the receivers can get open. Can that quarterback put the ball on him? And on them, I've liked what we've seen from Connor so far. Last year against Ole Miss, especially, and then also against LSU. So can Connor capitalize on what appears to be an advantage with his receivers against that New Mexico secondary?
Would you be surprised if they air it out very early, like deep, like what we saw from Utah?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd still expect them to be looking for guys on crossing routes and things like that. So the 10 to 15-yard path that turns into a 40-yard gain, I think I'd be more I think that would more likely to happen. But, hey, it works either way. And, again, take advantage of or capitalize on the advantage you have with your receivers against their DBs.
Right. Let's move on to that O-line, because to me the entire season rests on what the offensive line does.
I think it's obviously a huge part of it. And A&M had some trouble with pass protection last year. 25 sacks on the surface doesn't sound like that much, but you got to break it down and see where they were. And it's not just sacks. Sometimes there's pressure where sometimes the pressure is better than the sack because it leads to a turnover. But I think you do have to go out and show that you're going to be able to protect the quarterback. I want to see them be able to really give Connor all kinds of time to work with and find those receivers, or if you or put him in opportunities where they typically have, if it's third down, third and short, and things like that. But just to control the line of scrimmage, but especially in pass protection. Now, New Mexico, from my research, the only guy coming back on the team that had a sack had one last year. And I talked to some people at New Mexico, and they were telling me about a guy they're kind of excited about named Gabriel Lopez, transfer from Washington State. But even he didn't have a ton of sacks at Washington State. And he may be going up against Chase Pasantes if Chase is indeed playing like we expect. So that'll be a matchup within the matchup to pay close attention to.
All right, and let's continue on with the linebackers. Torian York versus C.J. Jones.
Yeah, I've heard so much. We've all heard so much about Torian York and how good he is. Look, A&M has to be better against the run, and a big part of that is better linebacker play, finding the linebackers that can diagnose a play, step in the hole, and into the contact. But to do that, a lot of times as a middle linebacker, you got to fend off the blocks of a center. And quite frankly, C.J. Jones, the center at New Mexico, is considered, I believe, their best offensive lineman. So I think that's a pretty interesting matchup to see what this freshman in his first college game, how he handles himself and how he bolsters that running game when the best offensive lineman from your opponent is going to be coming at him, on a pretty consistent basis.
All right, DJ Washington,
Yeah.
one other wide receivers versus this A&M secondary that we have questions about.
Yeah, especially the corners. And we don't know who's – First of all, it's not like one corner is going to face him all the time.
Right.
But DJ Washington is a guy that played at a community college in Iowa for 3 seasons because COVID, didn't count. And I don't even know how many games they played in that COVID season, but he played 30 games in his career. And he had 24 touchdowns in 30 games. He had over 2,000 yards receiving in 30 games. He's a big 6'4", 6'5", 220-pound guy. So he's going to be a lot to deal with. And I know they're excited about him in Albuquerque. Well, how is Tyreek Chappelle going to handle this guy? How is Josh DeBerry going to handle him, or Tony Grimes, or whoever the corners? The safeties will get in there too, but specifically the corners. How are they going to handle this guy? I think that's going to be an interesting matchup.
And Dylan Hopkins, who came from UAB, they got a new offensive coordinator who also came from UAB, versus what we expect or hope to be a pretty dominant pass rush.
Well, it needs to be, and I think that pass rush is important. 18 or 19 sacks last year, not nearly enough, especially with the guys you have. So you got McKinley Jackson, Fidel Diggs, Walter Nolan is more streamlined, Shamar Stewart, Shamar Turner, Malik Sealy, all these guys that are so highly regarded. Now turn the fact that you're highly regarded into highly producing. Show what you can do against a New Mexico line that's kind of understands rebuilt, and try to keep this Dylan Hopkins kid uncomfortable. Maybe get to him, sack him a few times, maybe force some turnovers.
Yep, no doubt about that. That is OB's matchups presented by the Bach Realty Group. By the way, I used Megan and Gabe when we were moving here. They helped us when I was in Sugar Land trying to find a place. They helped us through the entire process. Our thanks to the Bach Realty Group. They were great, so give them a shout. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk to Bronny for a few seconds, find out some of the latest things going on recruiting-wise, and then we want to do some questions for OB. We're going to go back and forth on certain questions I got for you. But right now, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. They're excited about many things happening this weekend, but obviously about the big football game, and you need to join them at the All-Aggie Hullabaloo. Make Clayton W. Williams Jr. Alumni Center your game day headquarters for every home game this fall. Enjoy, let me say it in big words, free drinks, food trucks, a vendor marketplace, DJ Rob, and games watching, and much, much more. If you have questions about your Aggie ring, or you need it to have resized, need to have it resized, the Aggie ring office will be open throughout the entire event. The All-Aggie Hullabaloo starts 3 hours before kickoff, and admission is absolutely free. You need to claim a wristband for your drinks, and you can do that by registering at tx.ag/All-Aggie-Hullabaloo. If you're a business and are interested in becoming a vendor at the event, email the association at sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. Don't miss out on this great event, and don't forget to register for your wristband at tx.ag/All-Aggie-Hullabaloo. Welcome back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. And it's the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB's with me. I'm David Nuño, and Ryan Broniger's here with us.
Like the Gob Hour now. Gorb.
Gob. Hey, buddy, there's a chance that A&M picks up another big-time commit today. I know that, at least from social media reports out there, it looks like Dominic McKinley is trending towards A&M. Is there anything you can add to that? Is it just social media fire, or is it always kind of
No,
been there?
There's been some smoke, I think, all week, but not enough smoke where you're going to go all in. And here's the thing, is like I'm in here speaking to you guys in person about this and not on the phone. So if I knew 100% or we felt really, really good about his decision today, I'd probably be on the road to Lafayette. Right. So that kind of speaks to what we felt throughout the week. We feel like A&M's in a good spot. We continue to get good reports. We know that Dominic has been in touch with Texas A&M as late as last night. I do think he's still been talking to other schools, specifically Oklahoma. But, it seems like it's narrowing down. And A&M, as some schools are getting lopped off of this deal throughout the week, A&M has remained standing. I also think Oklahoma has remained standing. I think Texas has fallen back, and I think LSU kind of knew early in the week that they were playing from way behind. So I think it's a lot of different reporters and piecing this stuff together. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of everybody pinging stuff off of each other that's in the industry and in the region. Hey, what are you hearing? What did you hear? Well, he said this to somebody, and somebody else said this to somebody. And you're just trying to triangulate what everything means. As we've done that throughout the week, A&M name has been consistent, right? So it's either been A&M in Texas or A&M in Oklahoma, A&M in LSU, Ohio State. A&M is always the common denominator, so I think that's what's given people more confidence. We remain cautiously optimistic that the Aggies are in a good spot right now heading into the decision today at 3:30, but not in a total, hey, this is I feel like the way we word stuff on TexAgs, you can kind of get a feel for which way recruitment is trending. This isn't one of those times where we're saying, hey, they're in a great spot. We feel like A&M's – we haven't at once said A&M's on the verge of adding to their class because we really don't know that yet.
It feels good.
It feels pretty good. And it's just kind of like Blake Ivy, right? Blake Ivy was just between A&M and LSU, though. So it was essentially a coin flip. This has got 6 schools as a finalist. And, yes, some of them have probably feel like they've been pushed to the side. But it's a little bit more than a coin flip.
Why do you think this Louisiana kid is interested in A&M over LSU?
Well, that'd be a personal question that I would have to ask the kid.
So you've had no
he has
conversation.
Been, no, this is a no media kid. Very, very little media. So in terms of kind of understanding his processes, you're not going to get as much out of him. And this has been kind of not under wraps. He's done a little bit, but just not a lot of media where you have an idea of which way or what he is valuing in a school. I think the relationships that Elijah Robinson and then Mason Smith have been hugely important for A&M. Couple that with Jimbo Fisher's influence and increased influence in recruiting now. DJ Durkin has done a nice job here. So it's been a team effort for the Aggies from recruiting staff and coaching staff. And I just think if A&M's the pick today, it's because of the way they've handled the recruitment. And you can go back and this is kind of what Elijah Robinson has done. Kind of works, not a lot of flashy stuff out there, just kind of works behind the scenes, builds relationships. And then when it comes decision day, I can't tell you how many times over the last 2 or 3 recruiting cycles, David, have we sit there and going, yeah, A&M's a bigger player for this kid than a lot of people think. And here we are again on decision day for a 5-star, high 4-star kid at Louisiana. And we're saying, look, and Jason has been saying it on the site. If you've been reading it, Jason has said, A&M's in a better spot than people think. A&M's in a better spot. And look, now we're on decision day, and A&M is kind of trending in the right direction.
Have you seen this young man play?
I've seen the tape, yes. And then I've talked to some people in Louisiana about him.
And what jumps out? Because the other day when we talked about it, you're like, this is the same kind of dude that they have right now. It
is. It's a same talent level, right? So you're adding another hugely, immensely athletically gifted player to a room full of guys like that. But I don't know that the closest comparison that I think they've got on the roster right now is Shamar Stewart. Because this kid is 6'5". He lists himself as 6'6", so somewhere 6'5", 6'6", 270 to 280, and can run. I think he runs better than Shamar did coming out of high school.
Right.
And talking to some sources in Louisiana, had him at a 4'6", 4'7" runner at that size. We're talking about frame build-wise like a young Michael Clemens almost. And look what he grew into. And he's further along than Michael Clemens was Think of how long it took for Michael Clemens to get to be the player that he was. Dominic is way further along than Michael Clemens was. So it's kind of a big, it's the same kind of frame, big. He could be a really imposing-looking dude, just like Shamar Stewart, just like Clemens was, but I think he's a little bit more mobile than both.
Edge or interior?
Can play both. But, 6'6" is a guy that's probably going to line up on that strong side end. But, man, when you watch him run, it's hard to say that you're going to pigeonhole him anywhere.
I want to know if is he so good that in the event he picks A&M, is he so good that the Oklahoma media will disparage him on social media?
Well, I hope they don't do that again.
Hopefully they've learned.
Give him the Hicks.
Well, listen here.
The Hicks treatment.
I don't know the guy who said it at all. I don't know him. I'd be willing to bet he wouldn't say it to DJ's face or to his daddy's face.
I can guarantee you that.
Have you seen his dad?
No, but I can see his son and know where he comes from.
Right. The daddy would put you to shame in a weight room.
Well, a lot of people can. Let's just go ahead and be honest.
Yeah, but could he beat him in Thai or jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
I don't think I can match that size, buddy.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
This guy's an ant. Have you not seen Coach Hicks?
I don't.
He's a monster. He'll probably be walking around this weekend. You'll be able to see him.
I'd like to say, Bronny, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, let's go to Hannah at the Angry Elephant.
I wonder if this guy's as big as Bronny.
He's bigger
taller,
than me.
stronger,
better looking.
Yeah, all that.
All that stuff.
Hannah at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Let's try to get one text message quickly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, PG Ag in King Oak says McKinley reminds him of Jaden Peavy. I believe Tennessee player.
He's with the Tennessee Titans.
Titans, yeah. Jaden Peavy was a nice player. I think McKinley is a higher caliber player.
Well, he's higher rated.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Hey, Obi, I got some questions for you. I want to get into the segment before we go. Who's going to be the surprise college football team in the SEC this year? I want a good and a bad.
Well, Texas A&M is good.
This is good, yeah.
And the bad, Tennessee.
So you think Tennessee's going to be actually bad?
I didn't say they were going to be bad, but okay, in terms of
like surprising, like man, they were really underwhelming.
Well, was it going to be a surprise if it's Florida?
I don't think it'll be a surprise.
Yeah,
no.
so I'll say South Carolina.
Okay, I kind of agree with you. By the way, another good that I have that we've said on this show before, Kentucky. I think they'll be one of the good ones. Who's going to be the breakout player in college football this season? And before you answer, Takeo Spikes last night was asked this same question, and he said Noah Thomas.
Interesting.
I'm going to go with Evan Stewart because breakout to me means he's a national name, and Evan is on the tier of being at that level, but I think he will have that kind of year.
Yeah, I'll say Connor Wigman.
Connor Wigman, yep. And Shamar Turner on the defensive side, potentially, there's so many guys to pick from. That's where I ended up because of the experience. He could break out there. What storyline are you watching the most closely?
Involving
just SEC teams. Because I'll give you mine. I want to know if Tennessee is system-driven or quarterback-driven. Because if Joe Milton ends up having an excellent year in Tennessee.
Well, then I have to do a mea culpa, don't I?
Well, not only that, I'm just saying that then maybe it is just system, or is it the combo? So I'm going to be watching that. I know people are watching A&M big time, and so that's.
Now I don't think this is being provincial or anything. I think that I think it's Bobby Petrino's influence on Texas A&M's offense.
Yep.
I think if you asked 10 national reporters that same question, I bet half of them would say Bobby Petrino's influence on Texas A&M's offense.
And what team or teams have the most to prove in the SEC in 2023?
Well, Texas A&M.
Yep. I pick questions that A&M could easily fit into.
Well, like I said, Texas A&M, you got a lot to prove. I think Ole Miss has a lot to prove.
I think South Carolina has a lot.
I think South Carolina has to prove it wasn't just a fluke. And you know what? Maybe Alabama has a lot to prove.
Let's hit a break here. When we come back, pick 6, bank on it. You're going to pick some games. We're going to bank on some things. Are we good with that?
All right.
I think you don't have a say in this, to be honest with you. It is time to talk Heritage Films. That's Chance McClain's company. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. It is a great place to, it's a great idea, I should say, to kind of honor your family business, your family ranch. your grandfather, your dad, yourself. Just it's great to honor your story, and that's what Heritage Films does. They do these documentary films about families, and they're done at a very high level, and it is really just a cool thing to do and connect with your family. We're talking about watching something about the way your family was started, about the way your family business was started, about how your dad came to this country the way my dad did, or how whatever is important in your family's story. It is then videoed, it is recorded, and it is put together for the generations after, right? For your kids, and their kids after that. We did it with my dad. Highly recommend it. There's also the Year Flicks, which is something that I think all of us that are listening could benefit from. You might have a grandkid or a child out there that you want to kind of have these benchmark videos to follow their growth as kids in this Q&A form. And that's what they do. I did it with my daughter Annalise, 12 years old, Q&A. About things she's into, things she does, things that stories in her life that I didn't know about. And then in a couple of years, we'll update those 20-minute videos with new questions and seeing how much she's grown. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Got a lot of things to do in a short time. Time for Bank On It, presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com. What are you banking on?
I'm banking on the Aggies to hang a half 100.
50 plus?
50. I'm banking on it.
Okay. All right.
Take it to the bank.
I like it. I'm banking on Fidel Diggs getting at least 2 sacks.
At least.
He had 2 against Bama, 1 against South Carolina.
And then he got hurt.
And then he got hurt in the next game against Ole Miss. I think he continues the trend of sacks. All right, sacks for days.
He's got a lot of sacks appeal.
I like the way you phrased that. It is now time for Pick 6 OB. Game number 1. You've got Colorado at number 17 TCU. 11 a.m., Amon Carter Stadium, Saturday. Fox broadcast, TCU favored by 20.5.
I have no idea what to think of this game.
I don't either.
I'm going to take TCU. And that might be a stupid pick, but just all the weird things that's gone on in Colorado, they may be great, they may be terrible. And I don't know what to think of TCU.
I don't either.
So I'll take my L if I get an L, and I won't even worry about it.
I'm taking the points. Colorado keeps it close.
Okay.
Close-ish, if you will. Number 2, Virginia, ACC versus number 12, Tennessee, 11 o'clock, Nissan Stadium, Saturday, ABC. Tennessee favored by 28.5.
I want that half point. I'm going to take Virginia.
Okay.
Tennessee wins. But, man, 28.5. That's a lot of points for another, quote, Power 5 conference team.
That is a lot of points.
Now Tennessee wins. I'm just saying, do they win by 29? Maybe, but I'll go with the points.
I think Tennessee's going to roll.
Okay.
Virginia was pretty bad. I think they won 3 games. I think they were pretty bad.
Okay.
So I go with Tennessee there. Third game, number 21, North Carolina versus South Carolina, 6:30 p.m., Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, Saturday. North Carolina favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I'll take North Carolina. I really like Drake May.
I do too. I think they win by a touchdown, at least. So, yeah, I'm taking North Carolina on that one. The fourth game, I've gone back and forth on this game quite a bit, OB, but I'm going to settle here. You've got LSU versus number 5 LSU versus number 8 Florida State, 6:30 there in Orlando. Sunday ABC broadcast. LSU is favored by 2.5.
You know, I have a policy, and only seldomly do I relax that policy. But the policy is in a non-conference game, always take the SEC team. So I'll go with LSU, even though I feel uncomfortable with it because there's talk about LSU's secondary
yes.
and Florida Florida State can throw it, and Mason
Smith is out.
He's out.
Well, Jordan Travis is a really good quarterback. I think this game is going to tell us a lot about both teams, and that may seem like Captain Obvious, but if Florida State has a field day throwing on LSU, hello, there's your bingo card. You know what to do. But maybe Florida State will be exposed as a team that's not legit. I'm actually going to take LSU as well. I kind of agree with you. Other than last night, you got to go with the SEC.
Usually.
Number 9, Clemson at Duke, 7 o'clock, Brooks Field at Wallace Wade Stadium Monday night. Clemson is favored by 13.5.
Oh, that's a lot of points against a Mike Elko defense. I'll take Clemson out of force of habit.
Yeah, I'm taking Clemson too. I think that offense is going to be a lot better. I do.
It can't be much worse.
No, but I think it's going to be a lot better. This next one, OB, our last one, I can't believe I'm saying it's hard for me to answer, but it is hard for me to answer. New Mexico at number 23, Texas A&M, 6 o'clock, Kyle Field, Saturday, ESPN broadcast. Hey, somebody's calling me. It is a 37.5 spread for A&M.
I'll take the Aggies and give the points.
Okay.
Because they're going to hang a half 100 on them.
I'm giving the points as well. There was a moment where I paused because I'm like,
because you remember last year?
Yeah, it gets in my head. And it's a big number. It is. For a team that scored 22 points a game. But they're not the same team, OB.
Got more octane in the gas.
Turning the page. It's a new chapter. They're going to win. I'm giving the points, and they're going to win.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Obviously they're going to win, but they're going to win by 38. Sorry.
I'm going to take that, too.
Yeah.
Because they're going to hang a half 100 on them.
Let's hope so, OB. Thank you, buddy.
You bet.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Brian Jones is going to join us. Billy's on his way. We'll have a lot to talk about over the next couple hours. It's TexAgs Radio. All right, we are back. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hope to get Brian Jones on the program from CBS Sports here in the next couple of minutes to chat a little bit about all the storylines going on in college football. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, we do have a couple of moments to get into some text messages and some thoughts. The number is 979-693-1150. That is the phone number and, of course, the text line as well. Let's check in at the Social Center presented by the Angry Elephant, where Aggies gather. It's a great place to go hang out. Go check them out. And Hannah Harrison is there at the Angry Elephant Social Center. Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning, David. Yes, please text in if you have anything. David, would you rather watch golf or play golf? This is my question to you.
None. I'd rather watch paint dry. Kidding. No, I'd probably rather. I'm not like. I don't enjoy golf, and let me explain to you why, Hannah. I've actually said this on the air before. I am very average at most things in life, like very average. But the things that I somewhat excel in, I have to do at a very high pace, right? Like I have to, I'm not good at, I have to be intensity guy to do it well. And in golf, if you're intensity or power guy, you're not going to be very good. You got to be kind of calm, relaxed, and that's just not my skill set.
That's not the forte.
No, when I play basketball, I'm not a very good shooter, but I can out hustle you. I can beat you to a ball, that kind of stuff. That's the only thing that I have is intensity. And in golf, intensity does not work.
That's so valid. I just bring it up because women's and men's golf have tournaments this weekend for A&M. The men are in Wisconsin, and the women, I don't know where they are. They're playing the Carmel Cup, so wherever they may be. But if you love watching golf, you're going to have plenty to watch this weekend. So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also talk about some of the storylines we started the show with. And by the way, I'm trying to email people and talk. So if Hannah, if you get another text message in a moment that we can go to, it'll give me a moment to figure stuff out. But that being said, some of the storylines. I asked you guys, and I asked OB this, who's going to be the surprise of college football this year, the good and the bad? And the reason I asked that question is because I want it to be A&M for the good, not for the bad, right? Like A&M was the bad a year ago. They were the surprise. Were they really that bad? And unfortunately, it did not go as planned. But all that being said, this year they can be the surprise team that's look, I want to be in the conversation. Absolutely do I want to win the SEC West and be in the championship game and get playoffs. But for today's purposes, I want to be in the conversation as long as possible, right? And hopefully that means through November, right? But let's get to be in the conversation come November. Let's absolutely do that. Hannah, let's try to go to you again.
You can try. It might not work, but you can try.
Well, I know on the YouTube page, people are saying, can't wait for the kid to get out of school so we can head to Aggie Land. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But many of you are coming this way, right?
I know that my parents are coming this weekend, so that's exciting. Big family Aggie event, always fun. We have someone with a 314 number saying, are the McKinney brothers going to be part of this Friday's roundtable during all of football season as they've been?
Yeah. Today it's going to be just Seth on the program. and Steve will be back in a couple weeks. He's got some business to attend to. But, we will absolutely get the McKinney brothers every single Friday. The final countdown will begin at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, and it will be Seth and Billy here in the studio. So we'll do that here momentarily. One more, if you don't mind, on the YouTube page as I send this message.
Yeah. I don't know actually what this is talking about, but there's supposedly an American flag in the background behind you. Do you know anything about that? Have any idea behind the meaning or about any of the things, the trinkets behind you, I guess?
Most of those were here when I moved, took over this gig. There's the American flag. I actually need to ask Gabe that. I think he's listening this morning, so maybe he can text me and let me know directly. I do know a couple of things that are what I brought in. The luchador mask that was sent to us, by the way, but hopefully we'll be wearing that on Sunday, and my Batman cup. So that's what we have there. Let's go to the hotline. I believe we have Billy on there. Billy, the Flounderers here. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, David.
What's going on?
What's happening, buddy? I'm getting my coffee. I didn't realize we were doing this.
How do you say that? We talked about it on Monday.
No. I didn't realize I was coming on. I thought you were interviewing Brian, and then I was coming in.
Oh, all good. I try to get a
but since you don't have Brian, since my man B. Jones has no-showed you, I'm here to bail you out until 9:20 when I come in studio.
Well, you know how it works, right? At 9:20, he'll end up calling. That's just how it works. But whatever, we'll figure this out. One of the things that I was listening to Ask Liucci this morning, and one of the things that stood out to me was what you said about New Mexico, how they do things differently, right? How it may not be the walk in the park that we want it to be because of the way New Mexico may attack A&M. If you can kind of expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to expand on it because it's one of these things where everybody gets so emotional. Just like when I said, hey, it's not a guarantee that Bryce Foster will start the opener. And then you heard Jimbo kind of reiterate that. And I think Bryce is going to start this week. He's been practicing ever since. I said Ruben Father, he's not all the way back from injury, but he's damn near back. If it's not this week, it's probably next week. He's on schedule. Nothing's wrong with him. And, why would these guys start over these guys? I said Cam Dewberry's, battling for, the job at left guard, which isn't a bad thing. That means Mark Naboo had a great camp, fall camp, that is. But it was all accurate, but then people didn't want to handle the accuracy, and they take it because emotionally they want to see Fothery and Foster and 5 returning starters up front and that consistency and continuity that we've talked about all offseason. But it doesn't mean it has to be this giant negative. So when I say, I'm not saying it's justified if A&M goes out there and slogs around and struggles for 4 quarters and can't pick up every stunt, twist, and blitz. And I'm not trying to prep people for A&M to look sloppy. I don't think they're going to. And I don't think they should. I think they should, even if it would have been where Foster didn't play and Fothery didn't, and if Naboo had beat out Dewberry and you return only 2 starters for that game, and I could come back and go, well, they're going to have 5 starters by next week. That still wouldn't matter. They still should have a good game offensively against this football team. I'm just saying there are going to be some negative plays because that's what New Mexico lives and dies by. And I heard Olin earlier saying, well, if they can get away with it, why wouldn't Auburn? Because it's a certain style of play that these teams implement that those type teams don't. And so they aren't going to change their style of play just for A&M 6 weeks after an inferior team blitzed and twisted and stunted. And because part of what they're doing is they're taking very high risks. And you can do that when you have nothing to lose, and you can do it early in the season because you're hoping to take advantage of a lack of continuity on the O-line and cohesiveness is a better word. If you've got cohesiveness up front, you're picking those things up, and you're absolutely gashing the opponent for big plays because that's what they're putting at risk there.
Hey,
and
Billy.
So that's why those teams won't.
We got Brian Jones now, so let's continue.
All right, go ahead. I'll see you in a minute.
See you in a minute. Let's go to the
Tell him
hotline.
what's up.
He's listening. Let's go to the hotline. We got our times crossed over there. Brian Jones, CBS Sports. What's up, B? How you been, man?
My man, now how did this get all cross-threaded? Because I was told 10:35 Eastern, which is my time. Now you talking bad about me on your radio show. What happened, man? Who messed this up?
I'm going to blame it on Billy Liucci, to be honest with you. No, I think it was written down wrong.
That's a convenient foil, Billy Liucci. Now that's my man, but tell him thanks for stepping in my absence. But yeah, they got all confused. I'm looking at my notes. It says 10:35 a.m. and you want to talk about my sorry Dallas Cowboys.
No, hey man, it's always great to talk to you. I love your assessment and the way you keep it to real thoughts. You don't let biases get in the way. So I'm asking you, man. I'll just start it off with A&M. Are you buying them this year? Do you think they're a real player?
I'm buying what they're selling, man, and I get looked at cross-eyed when I say that. Yes, I'm still a believer in the Aggies. I think they have everything they need on campus now. They have the dudes. They found a quarterback in Wegman a season ago. Only 5 starts, but 8 touchdowns, 0 picks. The guy looked the part. Now, can Petrino come in there and innovate and continue to help his progress and growth? That's what I'm going to be seeking. But if they can stay healthy on the offensive line, they have playmakers, definitely at the wide receiver position. They have them on the defensive line. You guys know better than me how well they've recruited there. They need to step up and stay healthy. So, yeah, this is a complete football team. And you don't have to go out and be all fancy, and everyone thinks that's the case. We had this discussion on our show last night. Hell, 3 yards in a cloud of dust could work. My Cowboys won Super Bowls, just Emmett left, Emmett right, throw it to Michael Irvin or Alvin Harper. You know, if you can control the line of scrimmage, because I don't care how many bells and whistles you have, that's going to always be the key to football, that interior play, offensive line and defensive line. If you can win there and a quarterback that can take care of the ball, and I don't know who the hell said managing an offense is a pejorative. It's not. You want a guy that can manage the offense. Does he have to light it up all the time? Does he have to be a Tom Brady? No. Don't make mistakes. Take care of the rock. Make good decisions. And when I broke down the Aggies film a season ago, that was their bugaboo. They didn't have consistent quarterback play. You had guys that were afraid and had happy feet. And then Wegman comes in, and once again, he was cool, calm, collective, and he looked the part. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on the young man, but hell, you go to schools such as Texas A&M, you go to the Texas, the Alabamas because of the hype, the pressure, and the traditions. So I think they have everything they need. Stay healthy up front and continue to grow at that quarterback position, and A&M will be just fine. The SEC West, it was already deepest into the pool. It's gotten even deeper. It's wide open. It's going to be up to Bama, LSU. It'll be A&M will be in the mix. Ole Miss, we'll see what Golden can do as the new DC there. That's always been their Achilles heel on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to have at least 4, possibly 5 players in the West.
Talking to Brian Jones here on TexAgs Radio. What world are we in, man, where you're one of your partners there at CBS, Danny Cannell, actually is buying the Aggies? I'm so used to hearing him against the Aggies. I was like, all right, let's go.
Well, he's buying them. He's buying my Longhorns as well, as I am also. I had the pleasure of being at practice last week when it was hotter than Haiti at 9 in the morning. But they looked the part. The dudes are on campus there as well, as they are there in College Station. Man, we game recognized game. And I think Danny sees it as I see it. The pieces are there. You just have to put them together, man. That's it. And it's a difficult ball game, and it's not built overnight. But if everyone can be cohesive, and here's when you know you're cooking with gas, when each of those players hold their teammates accountable. That's the key. And it's got to be player-led, man. If the coach has to beat you over the head all the time, you're not going to get anywhere. It has to be player-led. There has to be a standard that's set. And when you step on campus, those upperclassmen have to let those new guys know, hey, this is how we do things around here. We're going to pay attention to detail. We're going to work our butts off. And we have a goal that we want to reach each and every year. And you have to uphold that standard or we don't want you around here. That's going to be the key. So it has to be player-driven.
Brian, the West is obviously, I think, somewhat open. I think the second spot in the East is somewhat open. I'm buying Kentucky there. Tennessee's got to prove to me, or Joe Milton's got to prove to me he can lead that offense. How do you see the East shaking out, especially for that second spot behind Georgia?
Yeah, my issue with Tennessee is their defense, and they were woeful, especially on the back end last year. But they did get a nice win versus Clemson in the Orange Bowl. But you're right, Joe Milton, a howitzer of an arm. He should be able to lead that offense. Can they stop anybody? Kentucky with Leary coming over, 2 years ago, this guy was lights out. Had about 6 300-yard passing games. Now he comes back. They bring back their old OC, which Will Levis had a lot of success. So I think from all reports, he is taken to this offense. It's resonating, and he's leading it. Defensively, they always have some good guys on that side of the ball. J.J. Weaver is a big one. So they have put out some excellent linebackers over the year, Bud Dupree and others. And so I agree with you. I think Kentucky's going to fight for second in the West, and Georgia better look out. Their schedule doesn't look too daunting right now, so we'll see if they're crash-tested, if one of these teams can sneak up on them. If you're going to beat Georgia, you better have a damn good passer. You look at the teams that have beaten them. Alabama a couple years ago in that SEC championship game threw for over 400 yards. Then in the championship game, which they lost, the rematch, they threw for over 300 last year. Of course, in the CFP, Ohio State threw for about 350 and 4 touchdown passes. And LSU in the SEC title game with a hobbled Jaden Daniels and a backup Nussmeier, 500 yards passing on that defense. And you can say, well, they put some of the second, third teams in there late in the ball game, but they still posted 30 on that Georgia defense. So if you got an accurate passer and you can hold up against that pressure that they bring to bear, you may have a chance of knocking off Georgia, especially a season where they don't have what appears to be a lot of tough opponents.
Brian, a bad season for Alabama is typically 11-2, right? Like that's what we saw last year.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think a bad season for Bama this year looks like, and are they a legit CFP team as we're so used to seeing?
Oh yeah, they're still legit, and they've had this issue previously where you didn't have a bona fide superstar at the quarterback position, and maybe one emerges. We'll see how that shakes out, and they were still able to get to title games and win them because of all those ancillary players, man, who are 4 and 5 stars. So Bama will be just fine. A disappointing season for them will be not making the SEC title game again. That's disappointing because that's their goal each and every year. And if they make that, and sometimes when they don't make that, they still can get into the college football playoff. So speaking of setting a standard, they have a standard that all those players buy into when they step on campus. And if they can't get to that title game, that's a disappointing season for Bama.
Yeah, 100% agree there. Let's talk a little bit about Penn State because I feel about them kind of how I feel about Kentucky, but on a higher level. Don't get me wrong. I think they can be one of the 2 teams in the Big Ten. How do you see Penn State season coming out?
They have to at least win one of those games against Michigan and Ohio State. And I believe they get Michigan at home this year. Remember, a year ago, Michigan ran for over 4 bills against this defense, and that's what they're hyping this season is all those returning guys on the defensive side of the ball, and they have some good ones. Linebacker, defensive line, Abdul Carter, who's the sophomore linebacker. I think he could emerge as the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. This guy is phenomenal, number 11, and they don't get that number 11 just to anyone there at Penn State. So look out for that cat. So I think Penn State with that defense, if they're better against the run, and that running game, Singleton and the other kid, they're going to be good. And this Drew Allar at quarterback, he looks the part, similar to Carson Beck, who's taken over there at Georgia, man. I like the look of both of these guys. They're so handsome in the pocket, man. And we saw Allar last year, first game of the season, remember, versus Purdue. And he was thrust into action in a big moment and helped lead them to a victory on the road versus the Spoilermakers. So I like Penn State, but they have to win at least one of those games versus Ohio State and Michigan.
One more for you, Brian. How concerned should USC be about that defense? Because last year that was obviously their Achilles heel. I thought they brought in some really nice players, but it didn't look so great for part of that game against San Jose State.
Well, let's give San Jose San Jose State some credit. That Cordero kid can play at quarterback, and I went back and watched some of the tape, and you get a different feel for it when you watch the game film as opposed to watching it on television. And there were some first-game mistakes that you see a lot. It's great to be able to work on those after a victory as opposed to a loss. And Mason Cobb, who's well-known in Big 12 country, who transferred from Oklahoma State. He was all over the field. Man, he looked great. He was very physical, and that's a good get for those guys. The Bear Alexander, the transfer defensive lineman for Georgia, he was disrupted. Didn't have a lot as far as his stat line, but was very disruptive in the ball game. And the guy who was, I think he was at A&M, wasn't he, the Lucas kid?
Yeah, Anthony Lucas, sure was.
Lucas. Yes, and he looked damn good at that edge position for them, man. Those type of guys you want to get off the bus first. So they've got some really nice ingredients, not to mention the freshman out of Vegas, Zachariah Branch, taking the kickoff back and also having a nice receiving game as well. There were some missed tackles. They put some freshmen in there, and I think his guy's name is Tackett Curtis, and he, wrong gap. So you're going to see that when you put young guys in there. There were some missed tackles as well. First game jitters. I'll toss it up to that. But to your point, if they don't progress and get better on that side of the ball, Alex Grant is going to be in a world of hurt, and they're already calling for his job just after that first game. I think it's way too soon. But, he gave up 28 points. That was the average of season. They go about 29 points a game. They had 4 games in which they gave up at least 43 points, and they ended the season horribly. The Pac-12 title game versus Utah, I think that was 46 points, and then losing the Cotton Bowl to Tulane, giving up 45 in that one. So he definitely has to start forcing some turnovers. That was the problem at OU when he was there one year, and the next year they got down to business making sure they stacked that particular stat with the turnovers. So he's got to get these guys getting some turnovers, but they were flying around, man. I think they're going to be fine. There's some really good pieces on this defense. The Bullet kid at safety is one of the best. He may be a first rounder, and another in a long line of great safeties coming out of USC. So I think they'll be fine. It's too early to really, haul in Alex Grant and say, hey, man, we've seen enough. So I give them a few more weeks. They got Nevada this weekend. Let's see how that one goes. And, that second week, you always hear these coaches say it. It's not coach speak. It is the truth. You get better. There's a big jump. If you have a good team and you got some good charges, you get much better that second ball game than you were in that first one.
That is Brian Jones of CBS Sports. Brian, thank you so much for your time. Sorry about the time mix-up, man, but great analysis as always. Hope to do it again.
Let's do it. Anytime you need me, man, you tell my boy Billy Liucci, stay up.
You got it, man. Thanks again.
All right, guys.
See you now. Brian Jones, CBS Sports. Appreciate his time. Right now we're hitting a break. Let's talk Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. When we got a vehicle there from Caldwell Country Chevrolet about a year ago, it was awesome. We couldn't be more pleased with the excellent experience that we had. The entire process was just phenomenal. We bought a 2018 Chevy Tahoe. It was what we needed for our family, and it was awesome. And we reached out to the crew there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, told them exactly what we were looking for, and they went searching, and they found the one we wanted at the price point we wanted. At the it was just easy, right, guys? The only problem was I don't like to spend money, so I took my time, and they were fine with it. They're like, when you're ready, and we were able to find the right car for us. We did the research on the vehicle, looked it all up, and they actually did most of the work, right? I just had to sign away, and it was just a great experience. They are a great company with amazing people that work, that are involved in the community, and they support so many different charitable clubs around this great Brazos Valley. They do it. And it's only about a 15-minute drive. Bronna Caldwell, short conversation away. But you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with our friends there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. And we're back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy's with us. Billy, I'm just going to let you...
We could have a real problem today because
what happened?
I don't have a lid on this coffee, and it's very full. Just a fair warning. Okay. If you hear me go, some kind of spill on my Smurf shirt.
I like that
here.
Shirt, though.
It is very Nuño-esque.
It is a
Smurfy.
Nuño. Hey, did you see the intro?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to ask you about that.
I tuned in this morning at 8:02 because I was sitting there looking on the phone, looking on TexAgs, looking on social, and I was like, oh, it's 8:02. Show now starts at 8, not 8:05.
Yep. So I cut you off mid-sentence when Brian called.
I did hear that Olin was left out of the show.
Yeah.
Hurt people's feelings.
It hurt my feelings. He should be in there.
Everybody gets upset.
He'll be on there.
I had a bad quote that I didn't love for years, and I never said anything. I had this camera angle of me, like, let's see how we can make you look as fat as we possibly can on your bedside, hunched over, sitting down when you do these interviews, and put it out to the whole world. I didn't say anything about that till today.
First time?
I'm like, why can't I look at like other people sitting in that seat, and it's like a straight on shot, and me, it's like, so we're gonna adapt to that. But yeah, I mean, so if Olin's left out, he's left out.
Yeah, but he needs to be in there, and luckily we have the flexibility to change it.
I've got the flexibility to stop it.
Well, this is true.
He might not be on there if the texters keep complaining. I'm doing it for Olin because Olin's on the show 5 hours a week.
So
if he steps out of line and gets us in harm's way with the FCC, we could always pull him. That could be the bait that we dangle.
Well, that could be a game we do on the show. How much you get in the intro?
How long can Olin stay on the intro?
All of us. Like if Bronny messes up, he's out. Right?
It could be like a
game.
Kind of like a carrot. Hey, you want to be in the intro? Is Bronny in the intro?
He's in the intro.
What's he saying?
I don't even remember. You want to watch it?
No, but I don't know if he should be on the intro either.
Why not?
I just need more production from him work-wise.
And I'm not going to say who texted the show.
So I do think I'm going to start doing this because if Bronny's on there, why isn't Howell?
Well,
because Howell works circles around him in terms of content.
Somebody's mom texted the show, not going to say who, and said that we need to have certain people in the intro that aren't there. So pretty soon we're going to have Brandon in there, Josh in there.
This is like Gabe Bott when I joked with him about the bobblehead night, where the Bombers did one for me, and then there was a strong consensus that he wanted one, following that up. And he proposed he was going to be the first one, but this was going to be a whole series of bobbleheads that they were going to do.
TexAgs bobbleheads?
It was literally, but this is long before there were even nearly as many on-air contributors, personalities. Right. This was like, he went to Logan, who was a terrific upstairs and at covering basketball for us, but at the time he was covering recruiting. He was the worst in the history that we've hired. Then he wanted like a Brandon Jones bobblehead, Josh, Hunter before he was even the big tree. It was just like this whole charade, but the key was it was going to be a Gabe bobblehead and then them. And then the funny part is, so that happened. We were joking about it, giving him a hard time. And he was good about it. But then they do the bobblehead for Gabe, and I guess they went to a new producer of them. Okay. And so when they did mine, they're like, it's like this big. Look, it's like that big. Then they do Gabe's, and they go to a new maker or something. We don't have any bobbleheads in here. There's one over there. It was a full size one. So it's like, and so he comes in. Everybody knew that we was going to be a thing, and he comes in, and so I walk into the office, and there's like mine, and there's the Gabe statue, and he's like, I didn't tell him to do that. He's like, it was funny.
Well, I would prefer not having a bobblehead made of me. That's just my.
We could have some fun with your bobblehead.
Well, bobble those biceps. All right, let's.
Arms could go like this,
wobbly.
Yeah.
Or my head when I get all up. Never mind. We'll get into that some other time. Let's finish up your thoughts on New Mexico because you did start.
Who in here would lobby the hardest for their own bobblehead behind the scenes?
Zane.
Zane is a bobblehead. I was thinking Bronny.
Bronny was my second thought. Yeah. New Mexico. They're going to make. I don't want to say they're going to make life hard for A&M, but what are they going to do?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to. It's not. They're going to try to confuse and prey on confusion up front, and in doing so are going to put themselves in major risk that if these attempts at confusion where you're hoping to have free blitzers, free rushers, guys flying in the backfield to stuff runs before they can start, if that gets picked up, they're really hanging themselves out to dry on the back end. you're bringing linebackers, you're hanging yourself out to dry on the back end, and it is a very high risk. The reward is they can kill drives, and they will kill some drives. In the course of a game, it's going to happen. There are going to be some negative plays. What will make me happy with what I see is if it doesn't take A&M into their fourth, fifth drive to start figuring that stuff out.
Right.
I'm not concerned that they're going to do that for 4 quarters and they're going to slog around. I've got more confidence right now in this offense. But I understand there's going to be some negative plays, but then I want to see A&M overcome a 2nd and 13, 2nd and 12, and keep a drive going. And then the next time they try it, pick up the stunt, pick up the twist, and hit a big play and score. So, I mean, I'm not sitting – I think people everyone gets so beaten down. They thought about last year's O-line, and they think about the offense, and they think about the last 2 seasons. Hell, we had people complaining throughout 2020. A lot of people complained wire to wire about that 2020 offense. I think they had 42 points through 6 possessions against Arkansas. I mean, I think maybe 7. Maybe they 3 and out and then 6 straight touchdowns. They went into Tennessee and scored like 35. In that game against Florida, I think that was 41-38. The bowl game against North Carolina, they were in the 40s.
Yeah.
Auburn, they went down there. I don't think they might have scored 30, but what they did in the fourth quarter was amass like 200-something yards and like 150 on the ground in one quarter. They wore them down. Alabama, they went up there and moved the ball consistently. The one game they really stunk at it was Mississippi State. It was a little more of a struggle, but they scored. I think they won that game. I don't know if it was 28 or 35.
LSU too, but that
LSU was the
game.
one. That was the one that stood out. That was the one where everybody in the country would say, "Oh, see, they don't deserve to be in the playoff because of that game."
That was a weather game.
But you
too,
go
right?
back, Vandy was the one that was the stinker, and then they figured it out offensively. They were a really good offensive team. It wasn't just the flashy, excitement, explosive, which is what I actually do think this offense can be. Is the big play, take shots down the field.
Yeah.
The long ball and throwing on second and short, taking shots down the field and creative plays to get a running back out in space and, make you think pass and pop a 20-yard run. I think that's what we're going to see from this offense. But so I get that everyone's kind of like, man, the last 2 years have been a struggle. And it's been painful to watch for the most part. There's been Saturday exceptions, but for the most part, it's been a struggle. A big part of that has to do with inconsistency at quarterback.
Yep.
They haven't had the guy. And even if they did have the guy, if Max Johnson could have led them to 9 wins last year and then in this third game he gets hurt, it's just been one thing after another. But a lot of that has had to do with the O-line being shaky for two seasons. And the shakiness of that offensive line, Nuño, combined with this New Mexico and what I'm saying, what you heard Jimbo say, what is reality, is making everyone get real nervous because there's part of you that's sitting there going, that's the last thing you want to see is just a bleepity-bleep show out there in terms of A&M trying to block in the season opener against New Mexico when you've got a whole season coming up of Miami and then a bunch of SEC teams. I understand nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see that. You don't want to see it. The fans don't want to see it. It would be very deflating and demoralizing. I'm not expecting to see that. And I don't think if we see that, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it is an apples-to-apples comparison moving forward, but it will tell me that, hey, I'm worried about the O-line early season because they don't appear ready yet, and they've got Miami and then Auburn 2 weeks after that. So that would be my immediate concern. I don't expect that to happen. All I'm saying is you're not going to bat 1,000 against this type of defense. And the way you bat 1,000 in my mind is, okay, New Mexico had, 6 tackles for loss or, they 2 sacks and killed couple of drives early. But what happened over the course of the game is A&M just starts gashing them. Okay, you want to play that game. We're picking it up. We're hitting you for 60 over the top.
Right.
Okay, you want to play that game. We're getting the ball out of our hands quickly. It's going out to Anais or Evan Stewart. They're making a guy miss, and they're going 30 on a simple throw and catch because you guys have committed more than, you've hung your secondary out to dry. And, there's a matchup there that we can exploit, and you didn't get to Wigman in time, and he hit a deep ball. I'll make that trade, I guess is what I'm saying with this. I'm not saying, hey, guys, if the Aggies can't block New Mexico, it's not the end of the world. It is not the end of the world, but it is certainly something to be concerned about and to be frustrated with. I don't think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see them make their plays, a handful of them, and over the course of, let's say, 2.5, hopefully, quarters, you're going to see A&M hit big play after big play and make these guys pay. That's what I expect to see Saturday.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with more with Billy next on TexAgs. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy's with us. Billy, lots still more football to get into, but I did want to ask you about Dominic McKinley. That is coming down later on today. People feel good about it. Still a few hours away. Just your thoughts as it gets closer to that commitment time.
I would feel better about it if I were an A&M fan than if I were a fan of OU, LSU, Texas. But I wouldn't say I'm sitting here feeling good about it. It's almost like he's been so close to the vest. And I don't mean with the services. That a lot of kids are like that with the services. I mean close to the vest in terms of with these colleges. And like Bronny said this morning, whether it's an OU, people close to that program, or LSU or Texas or A&M, like the information's been slow in coming. And I think, it's been slow in coming to the college staffs as well.
Right.
I think, and I don't think it's like being deliberate. This is not a being deliberate trying to trick everybody. This is a kid that's just being very private with his decision and taking his time. But A&M, since the first time he came to campus here, and they've been in a better spot than people think. And I've relayed that message to Hal and Bronny a long time ago. I relayed that the Aggies felt like they had a real shot there. We've talked about it. They've talked about it on there. And then subsequently, they both heard from their sources along the way that, hey, A&M's not out of it. Texas optimism went through the roof like it. See, this is where you have to be careful. We've got a roster of guys that have been either committed to other schools or were going to other schools or penciled in as locks to other schools. And those other schools have typically a lot of times been the two programs that are coming into the SEC next year. Oklahoma and Texas, particularly of late, and they get even a little momentum and they start to think they're getting everyone. OU could win this thing today. I would put it in favor, I would say 60-40 A&M. And it's trending. A&M's way behind the scenes with just people as they keep gathering until you see these crystal balls and stuff coming in from these guys from other schools that their programs seem to have conceded. But there are going to be people at Acadiana today from, Bronny was, I don't know if he's posted it yet, but he got intel saying that after he talked with you on air, him and Hal are they're saying it's, they're going to have guys today at LSU and OU are going to be at the school today. So they're not, before the game tonight or whatever, they're not backing away from this. But man, when Jimbo has a relationship, when Elijah Robinson's leading the charge, you've got guys on that staff that I think have done a great job when he's on campus and things like that. And they've had an in on this thing for a while, and they've been in a good, solid spot. There have been other teams that have come and gone. A&M's been a consistent. And that's one thing you always kind of look for in this is who's the constant, who's been there wire to wire. We've seen Texas come up. We've seen OU come up. A lot of people assumed LSU early. A&M's been a constant in there. And I would not bet money against Elijah Robinson winning a recruitment for a defensive lineman. And so I like A&M's chances today to land the 5-star, and I think he is a game-freaking changer. And just like DJ Hicks will this year, and just like Nolan and Shamar and LT and those guys did the year before, and just like the year before that, Shamar Turner did, and just like the year before that, McKinley Jackson did, and DeMarvin Leal, all these guys, these D linemen that come in under Elijah and Jimbo, if they're good enough, they play and play a lot in year one. And I'm here to tell you right now, McKinley is definitely good enough. Dominic McKinley is on that level, and even in some cases better. You know, kind of like DJ Hicks last year. What I said is they've got some amazing talent on campus. Hicks is more talented than some of those guys that he's going to end up passing. The same thing with Dominic McKinley. So in a year they don't need a ton of D linemen, you do have guys that this class's true freshman year will be in their final year on campus, because you got a lot of guys that will go 3 in NFL out of this group. Not a lot, but there's multiple ones I would bet. There's going to be a lane open up for guys in this 24 class to play pretty early if they're good enough. And Dalen Evans, Dominic McKinley, those are guys that are good enough. And if those are the only 2 they sign, that, my friend, would be great.
Yeah.
And they could take a third, but they wouldn't. They really wouldn't have to if you get 2 of that caliber. So we'll talk more about it if they land him. I'm cautiously optimistic. This would be a massive get, and this would vault this class into the top 5. Now you go get guys like him, and I mean there are certain levels to this thing that they're recruiting right now. And if you get a Cam Coleman, you get McKinley, you get Bussey, and you get those guys kind of at the top in terms of the star rankings to go with what they've got, because they've got like all these really solid 4 stars and a couple, they got the 1-5, and I think they could end up with 3 if they get McKinley and Bussey. You're talking about a class that will not only move into the top 5 with the commit of McKinley, but you look at how the classes behind them are structured and stuff, who can catch them, and what A&M still got to potentially close with. I think you'll see the Aggies finish in the top 5 as well. You get McKinley and Xavier Atkins and Terry Bussey here in the first month of the football season or whatever, you're rolling into the top 5.
Yeah.
You're 3 or 4, and that, Nuño, is why it's so important to start the season early with wins.
Yeah.
I heard the other day y'all talking. It goes without saying, right? It goes without saying that if you lose games, you won't get as good of players. They did sign DJ Hicks and Chase Besantis and Ruben Owens last year after 5 and 7. It's not impossible. And it's certainly not impossible in the era of NIL and the transfer portal and spots opening up and things like that. But momentum is huge on the field. And if A&M can beat Miami, Auburn, and Arkansas and set up this showdown with Alabama next month, and win or lose, you got another showdown the very next week against Tennessee that the whole country is going to be watching. Now you're to the bye week, you're to midseason, and you'd say A&M's been in the center of the spotlight the whole time. And that's what happened, even though they lost to Arkansas, Mississippi State in those 8 days, those 7 days back in 2021. The win over Bama, then you won a couple, then you had a huge game against Auburn, and then you lost the last 2. They spent most of the season, save for a week at the front and a week at the back, in the spotlight. Yep. This would be a similar class if they could win and set up an undefeated showdown against Bama, and then another showdown back-to-back weeks, because you'd be entering into that stretch with a top 5 class. So where does it go from there? I mean, that's when you lock in that top 5 haul.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with Around Aggie Land. Right now we're talking Milliken Reserve, a farm-to-table community in College Station. They've got homes, they've got trails, they've got farms, and they've got wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. And they love families connecting to nature and to each other through that extensive network of trails throughout that wooded landscape that includes all these beautiful walking paths, these equestrian paths, these creeks, these ponds, these gathering areas. They're committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. So you're going to see all the animals you want, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles, the white-tailed deer, and homeowners there sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you're coming back to that pristine countryside place. They provide a natural setting for families to connect to each other. So go out there, go hiking, go biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails. You've got the evening yoga that people love, the summer camps that are awesome, the music festivals, the farmers markets, and the farm tours. Go be a part of it and go enjoy it. The website is millikenreserve.com. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. Estamos aquí. Around Aggie time here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Now it's time for that Around Aggie presented by Norman G. State Bank. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normangstatebank.com. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center where we find Kay Nagley.
It's been a while since I've sat over here. It feels good to finally be back in studio. Anyways.
And we gave you like 4 seconds to talk.
Yeah, it's okay. Just want to remind everybody for football this weekend, obviously you can catch the Aggies in action on ESPN at 6 p.m. But if you are headed to the game, reminder to beat the heat. Fans are permitted to bring one sealed water bottle up to a gallon into Kyle Field, so make sure you do that. Soccer last night secured its first win with Kenna Caldwell scoring an unbelievable goal. She is the goalkeeper. You need to check out that highlight reel if you haven't seen it. They defeated Tulsa 2-0 last night at Ellis Field. And then volleyball on the road also got their third win of the season under Jamie Morrison. Caroline Muth and Bianca Monkey led the charge with a combined 48 kills as the Aggies now prepared for Bowling Green and Loyola Chicago this upcoming weekend. So some good news, and football's finally back.
Football's finally back, and our tailgates are back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be. I think it's 3 to 5:30, I believe.
Well,
Kennedy Cavan's worked hard on that. So.
Well, I know the more people, the more work for her, so bring as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kay.
Of course.
That was a short one.
Yeah, it's all right. That's what I'm here for.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, the final countdown, Seth McKinney will be here. Billy will be here. I'll be kind of here. Let's talk about it. That's next on TexAgs. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The final countdown is here. Seth is not here yet. Steve is busy. Seth is coming in hot like a fajita. He'll be here momentarily. So we'll start things off with Billy. Billy, one of the things I wanted to get into in the 9 o'clock hour that I didn't get to, let's kind of go through some of these positions. Another thing that you had talked about was how good Javon Thomas has looked. And I know you weren't predicting him starting per se, but he's a guy that we're going to see a lot of potentially this weekend.
Yeah, and I could see him starting at some point this season. It could be, sooner than later if he, I think there's an audition going on opposite Tyreek Chappelle for this week. I don't want to say it like this. They have to go out and win the game at Miami, but this week, next week, ULM, like leading into conference play. Now, they got to be good enough at that spot to go in, down to South Beach and go beat Miami, and I say South Beach, I say Coral Gables. I don't even know where the damn stadium is at this point. The Hard Rock.
It's almost Fort Lauderdale.
Go to the Hard Rock and beat Miami. They've got to have good cornerback play. So it might, but I'm saying it might be by committee. You'd love for whoever starts to go out there and play really well, but I think they're still figuring that. Maybe more so than any position, they're kind of figuring that one out. That's opposite Chappelle's spot, and also the depth at corner. And Javon Thomas is right there in the mix. So there's a great opportunity, for a true freshman that, but you got some real experience in Grimes and DeBerry. Real experience. I mean, actually, I don't know how many times each of them have played against Miami, but there's several games there between the two of them against the Miami Hurricanes. So there's some experience there that, a true freshman would have to really perform well to overcome. But he's made it a possibility with the way he's throughout the offseason. There were high expectations going into camp, and that's exactly what he did.
Let's talk a little bit more about offensive line, some of the different parts that we could see this weekend as well.
Jimbo mentioned Basantis probably at right tackle. He said it pretty definitively.
Yeah.
I don't know if things during the week can change. I don't believe they have. But my question would be, is Fathery playing and getting back into it, or are we waiting another week? Because he's been practicing.
Right.
He's been practicing, and so he's right there. And I just don't know if maybe he hasn't had enough practice yet, or if that – it's probably not that. It's probably just – it's New Mexico. What are we doing here if we could hold you out another week? And I think worst case scenario, and I haven't heard anyone say this, but if he couldn't go in time for Miami, you could almost go another 2 weeks and even 3, get his feet wet against ULM, and then he's ready to go full speed for the entire conference season. This is just me talking out loud. I think we'll see him next week, if not Saturday. But I don't think you'll see him. Why put him out there on Saturday against the Lobos? I don't understand. If he's not going to start, then why would he play? He could shake off the rust in practice, so that part I'll be interested to see. Other scenarios, I wonder if Adazio does that thing where, look, if you're starting 5 is Foster, Dewberry, Zune, Layden, and Besantis. I wonder if Adazio does that thing where you look up on drive number 3 or 4 and it's Naboo at left guard, and then you look up another drive and it's Crownover in there at tackle. Like, in other words, getting these guys that might not be starting reps with the ones in a game like that. That's something I'll be interested to just kind of watch and follow.
Let's talk running back. A lot of names that we could see on Saturday, and it's more than 3.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it the other day. I think you'll see Amari Daniels get to go to start it out, and then Le'Veon Moss, and I think we'll see plenty of Reuben Owens, and then David Bailey. I'm interested in see how does he run. I watched him in that open practice. Then I heard about him in the scrimmage. An interesting change-up guy for this offense if you want to bring a little physicality to the running game. And not to say that any of those 3 guys can't run through a tackle, particularly Daniels and especially Moss. But Bailey's a different body style guy. And so I wouldn't mind seeing him get a couple of carries in there and just kind of hammer his way, through traffic and just kind of send a message that, hey, if we got to get 2-3 yards here, we got to wear on you in the second half of games a little bit. And we've also got another option to do that.
Can you address something that I've read and heard and been asked about? Torian York, the way Jimbo praised him. You talked about it, leading up to that press conference. Some people are reading that as, what does that mean about the guys who have been here? I don't think that's a slap at the guys that have been here. It's more of a prop up of how Torian has looked, if you can add a little bit to that.
I don't think it's a slap regardless, but I think it's both. It's not a slap, but it is a testament to what they don't have, that a true freshman can come in and start game 1, but it's also a testament to how good Torian York's been. And by the way, great move by him to come in and be an early enrollee. And we're talking about a kid that's just believed in himself from day one. And to come in here, play, make the flip from Baylor late, come in here, impress in the spring, really impress in the summertime. And it's just like his stock just kept going up. And then once they put the pads on, his stock kept going up further. So it's the bigger thing is that the whole program, players and coaches alike, are raving about Torian York, the player, the mind defensively. And Jimbo was talking about how he can get guys lined up and he's making the calls as a true freshman. Seth could probably dig into that a little bit. But also, it does speak to, look, if A&M had 2 established, proven starters at those linebacker spots, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and we'd be talking about, hey, has Torian York shot up to be the primary backup? Right. I'm not even talking about like all SEC first team linebackers. If they had a Taro Alaka and Tyrell Dodson, then all of a sudden you go, hey, is York, because that's what Alaka had to do. That's what Dodson had to do. Or Torian York could end up being the next incarnation of Dat Win for all we know. So you don't really know what that means, but I think it means a little of both. Look, we knew they didn't have a ton of depth at linebacker. Chris Russell, he kind of is like a big play, and then maybe, some wrong fits, and you give up some big plays in the running game. Martrell Harris, I heard his name a little bit in camp, but it wasn't like he was this rocket ship shooting star that you maybe hoped we'd hear throughout the offseason. So when you start saying all those things, because Damian Sanford's moving up the depth chart too, and Jimbo mentioned him as someone that would probably play on Saturday. So I think it's both, but I'm really excited about York, and I think he's, the early, him and Basantis are the two early storylines of this camp. We're going to see a lot of Hicks and Owens from this class, but those two from the class are the two that are probably going to start game one as true freshmen. And then the other guys that could move into that, you think of Reuben Owens, you think of DJ Hicks. Hicks, I don't think it matters starting or not, because just like with so many of those D linemen, they're just going to play.
Right.
And as guys start practicing and playing better, they're moving on up, and other guys that aren't are going to kind of see them. It's going to be like this all year. But Javon Thomas, he'd probably be your next one that I think is closest to, he and Owens closest to starting.
Hello, Seth.
Hello. I didn't hear the question, but I have thoughts on the
Freshman linebacker. Yeah, let's hear them.
No, I mean,
and welcome back.
I know, it's good to be back, man. It's freaking game time.
You're in uniform.
So let's do it. I'm in uniform. I'm ready to go, man. It's exciting. Anytime you get I don't care who you're playing, man. It could be Miami first game, New Mexico first game. It's always fun to start the season.
What would you rather have as a player? Do you like the one tune-up then the big game? Because you've opened with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I've done both. I mean, it gives you a little bit more like, man, we better get this right, because you're starting out with a great team, no matter who it was. We did Florida State one year. We did Notre Dame one year.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, like, I can remember the whole summer, breaking it down on somehow beating FSU or whatever. That was your thought. Of course, you want to win. We ended up winning the Big 12, but no one was talking about winning those.
I'm like, I knew you beat the brakes off Notre Dame, but that wasn't an opener, right?
Yeah, I don't think that was. That was 2001.
That was when y'all. Was that when we struggled against McNeese, and then maybe the next week went out and beat Notre Dame handily?
Yes, because I almost died that game against McNeese, but that's another story. Speaking of which, I saw those top 10 hottest games, and I was involved with two of them. I can say without a doubt that 98 Southern Miss game at Southern Miss was absolutely outrageous and ridiculous.
I remember that one.
Just steam bath.
That was the Dante Hall game. Was that where he had a couple nice
I can't
touchdowns?
remember. I was probably
because that was a dog
sweating
fight.
out of my mind just trying to survive.
What are we talking about? 105?
No, it was the fact that it rained and then sun and then just steam bath.
Then you're in southern Mississippi.
Right.
By the way,
I'm going to get back to York eventually.
Okay, let's go back to York eventually. But now you're talking about Southern Miss in the late 90s. They were really good. I don't know if you remember that.
They were.
You were very young, David.
Same age.
Same age. So you were in college. Southern Miss used to play the wildest of wild gimmick defenses, right?
Yes.
They'd have I remember dudes like standing up at the line of scrimmage. It was crazy.
So I'll tell you how we practiced against Southern Miss is that I can remember Coach Grimes, we just get out there, line up, and he would literally have guys just walk around. Like you would not know who was going to end up being in front of you. Like they'd get up there, they'd walk around, and at the snap of the ball, they'd come.
So what was y'all's job as blocker?
You just zone. You stay in your zone. You get the guy that latches onto you. If he passes you, you go to your next guy and you get him. And it was just the wildest thing. And yeah, I mean, it was such a gimmick, but you're just not used to that. And they had to run that. I mean, they had good guys, which is weird, but they didn't have enough of them. So you got to do something to separate. I can't remember that defensive coordinator's name.
Yeah.
But every year that we played them, it was like that's what we did against them. Was just they just walk around up there.
So New Mexico won't do it to that level, but they'll do it. And like Seth said, they have to do it.
Right.
But the difference now, that Southern Miss, like he just said, they had NFL dudes on that defense. Like they have real players there. That was kind of like Boise State before Boise State. They didn't ever get to that level,
right.
but because they were just defensive, I don't think they had it on offense. But their defensive players were freaking
they had some
real ones,
pretty decent players over there.
But Torian York,
back to that. Like anytime you've got a young guy like that is able to step up, he's got to be there at some level of physicality. I mean, he's not going to be what he's going to be when he's a junior, right? But he's at a high level right now. But I think that anytime that you've got a guy like that, that he has to be smart. There's no way that you can put a guy at linebacker. DB, like you can get away with a lot of athleticism without knowing what you're doing as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
But at linebacker, you got to know what you're doing. I mean, it's kind of like being like a center of the defense there. So you're making calls and you're having to recognize so much. So I think that speaks volumes for his mentality and understanding of the football game. And then back to Bisontis, I mean, you don't want to see ultimately you don't want to see it, but anytime that does happen, you can fall back on Noam, and this guy's got to be some kind of physical specimen. And tackle, you don't necessarily have to be super on top of your knowledge of the game.
You think it's harder for a true freshman to start at guard than tackle?
Probably and definitely at center, but probably at guard. I think left tackle is I would say would be ridiculous to start as a true freshman.
Just because of who
right tackle is a little bit easier. It's harder in pass protection, but it's also friendly in the sense that you should have people telling you what you're doing and things of that nature. But the tackle I'm not making light of the position. It's always tougher as a tackle, no matter which position, because you're going to be on an island more often than not on the pass protection. But in the running game, it should be good for them, whether they put in a tight end or somebody there to help them or whatever.
I know it's not ideal, right?
Yeah.
We know that.
But I'm not nervous about it because it's happened at high levels before in the past. I mean,
recent past.
Yeah.
Here and in the SEC.
Yeah. It used to be completely out of the norm where you'd be like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
But nowadays I'm like, man, these kids are coming out of high school. Like, supposedly Bisontis is the strongest guy on the team, something like that.
That's what they're saying.
So, I mean, he's got the ability to go out there and do it. Now he's just got to have the mental awareness and, tenacity to stay after whatever it is that he's doing and not get too down or not get freaked out and anxious out there.
That would be the only thing you'd worry about. And I don't know his mentality. I've sat down with him here once or twice, and I've heard great things, but you don't know until you're out there, on game day, whether it's New Mexico or Alabama they're starting with. It's a mental.
But he may be one of those guys, and I'm not going to try to say he's going to be a Luke Jokel, but I can remember – like I sat in, it was that year that Dan sat in with Sherman and stuck with it, and I went in rehabbing trying to continue to play.
We had a nice night. Me, DeSeth, Dan, and Marco Rivera, the old Cowboys. They were both trying to decide if they were going to go into coaching. This was only 10 years ago. It's wild or 11 years ago or so.
2010,
it's wild.
13, I guess,
But it's wild that Dan, where he's at now.
I know, right?
But we sat in. Dan was living in his trailer for the whole spring with Marco. These two guys, Marco Rivera was like a multi-year Pro Bowler a long time, and I think he was Cuban. No, he's Mexican. No. I think he was Mexican, like from Mexico. But living in that trailer, the two of them for like several weeks while they were kind of apprenticing here, and Jokel was a
true freshman,
spring enrollee.
Yes, not only a true freshman, but a spring enrollee. And you see him come in day one to that team, and you're like, man, this kid is super impressive. Like with his ability, but fast forward that, like ability is one thing. He had the knowledge of the game. Like it was so impressive to watch Jokel go out and do the things that he did. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what Bisontis is getting done out there.
I don't think Bisontis is as athletically gifted, like in terms. Jokel was, he's the number 2 pick in the draft after 3. It was incredible. But if you just look around the SEC, and by the way, this could be where Ruben Fothery's starting next week and for the rest of the season. And it's a great experience for Bisontis early in the year to get a full game in case he has to finish one or in case he has to come in and start for a couple weeks mid-season in the SEC. You're going to be happy that he did this. Or it's college football. You never know when a guy just seizes something and doesn't let it go. I expect we see Fothery back in there. But Deuce started as a true freshman and performed pretty damn well. You look in the SEC last year, Will Campbell at LSU was a great offensive lineman as a true freshman. You mentioned Jokel. Alabama's done it more than once. One time with a guy that A&M wanted that the Aggie fans didn't even want. He was a tackle from out in California. I forget his name. It's skipping my mind here, but he's still starting. Jonah Williams or Jonah something. But
Hill.
Yes, Jonah Hill. And what's the other guy's name? His little sidekick?
Seth.
No, the other guy, the little guy.
Oh,
little
Muck.
skinny guy.
What do they call him?
Never mind. Anyway, but there's been a lot of them. You think of Greg Little from Allen who went to Ole Miss. You think of Laramie Tunsil. There's been a ton of them in recent years. You think of Kelvin Banks at Texas, and I know he was playing in the Big 12, but you don't think that guy could have started for A&M or really anybody in the SEC as a true freshman last year?
Deal.
So my point is, it's not the end of the world, especially if a guy's an early enrollee. I'm not worried about it. I'm actually excited because Fothery's there too. I'm excited that they finally have depth at tackle. Fothery started 2 years. Zune has started a season now. You've got Crownover, who probably is the most improved guy on your roster from last season to this season, and Basantis, who they're beyond fired up about. And by the way, Aggie can play guard or tackle, and he's probably the fifth guy. Last year, Aggie had to come in and start against Alabama.
Michael Cera,
yeah.
Okay. Sure. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. Right now, we're talking about the Charger Apparel. They're an Aggie-owned, purpose-driven apparel brand. The clothes are awesome, guys, and they're veteran-owned and operated. They donate 12% of their total sales to organizations that do support U.S. veterans and mental health initiatives. As an ode to the 12th man, they stand in support of their servicemen and women by donating 12% of their total sales to organizations. And they have premier fabric, lightweight, slightly tailored fit through the chest and arms, designed to make you look and feel your absolute best. They are Aggie-owned and operated. And there are two guys that graduated in 2014. They met in the Parsons Mounted Cavalry and the Corps of Cadets. You have Tucker as a member of E2 and Travis Squadron 2. And they commissioned in the U.S. Army and also the Air Force. And after separating from the military, they started the Charge Apparel as a way to continue to serve their country through veteran nonprofits that they support out there. They're a Texas-based company that operates out of Texas, out of Austin, I should say. And although they're currently behind enemy lines, they love College Station. Both owners graduated from A&M in 2014, and they want to bring it to you with the best premier fabric out there. TheChargeApparel.com is the website. Find them on Instagram, The Charge Apparel, or Twitter, The Charge Brand. Did you guys like Young Guns 1 or 2 better?
1.
We're playing the Bon Jovi song right now. I liked 1 and 2, but I liked 2. 2 was good.
I mean, they're all mixed up in my head, but I
never
feel like
really
I
liked
like
Young
1.
Guns.
Come on.
I was not a fan.
Great.
You know who?
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Not a fan.
La Bamba. Come on.
Richie Valens?
Hated him.
Oh,
I didn't like the
goodness.
shape of his head.
You know what?
first
This is
of all.
like, what was the guy that just won Best Actor that we all hated? Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
That's warranted.
I liked Lou Diamond Phillips.
Hating Lou Diamond Phillips is not
I like
warranted.
Lou Diamond Phillips in La Bamba and A Few Good Men. That was about it.
What's that movie?
The Young Guns. I'll tell you who I've never liked on any level.
Emilio Estevez.
Yep.
I knew. I could tell.
Emilio.
Yep. And I call him Emilio Estevez.
No?
Not Estevez.
How about Emilio
It's
Sheen?
Estevez.
Let's call him Sheen.
Ooh.
He was not Emilio Sheen. It was Charlie Estevez.
Oh.
And then he changed his name. I saw something on one of these reels. I may have sent it to you. I sent Seth.
Don't. He uses me as an Instagram bookmark. You don't send me anything.
I do. A lot of them are like music, but when I start sending him workouts and recipes, and then I'm using them as a bookmark, like bear fights or moose attacks, anything. But I send you a lot of music, and that is intended for you. But I really send it to him so I could go back. And if I'm like, hey, David, did you see that video about Charlie Sheen? And I'll go click it. But I send it to Seth because I'm like, look, Seth's on Instagram. He's family guy, married, like no one's sliding into the DM. So I know I'm
He'll see it.
So and I'm sending him, like, he doesn't care. And I
just send memes.
I picture him just laughing when he wakes up and sees like 12 DMs from me, and he knows what they're going to be. And I also get a kick out of just picturing him laughing when he opens them up because he genuinely thinks that stuff's funny. But one of them was Estevez. Somebody went, what's the guy from Parks and Rec? Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Rob Lowe's talking. Look it up if you have any interest in this. But he's talking about these guys that went to high school together, the same high school in L.A. It was Rob Lowe, Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez.
They all went to high school together?
Somebody else, like it might have been Johnny Depp at the same time. Like a couple of them would be on like the same baseball team together, and they were all in like theater. I guess it was a theater arts high
What
school.
a weird group, though.
Beverly Hills High? What is this?
Yeah, I mean, it was L.A., and they were all there. You know, I'm sure they was a magnet school for acting, or maybe. I'll look it up have someone.
Eric Stoltz and all those guys.
Can we look that up? Give us the names as soon as
the
you
audience
find
is
them.
like, get off this. Get back to football.
Well,
It's New Mexico.
By the way, have
that's what just took 60 seconds.
Have you seen the documentary of Johnny Depp and
No, Amber Heard, no.
What? They're both a bunch of. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Speaking of Johnny Depp, I did get a call one day from Johnny, and he was like,
Mansell.
Speaking of documentaries, like during his whole run or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, I can believe what happened last night." I go, "What?" He goes, "Guess who I talked to for like hour and a half outside of this bar, or wherever." Who? He was like, "Legend." I go, he's playing the guessing game. It was Johnny Depp,
and at that time, he was at the top
he
of
said,
his.
Yeah, he just ended up having like this long form conversation with Johnny Depp somewhere. He doesn't like. There are certain ones that like he would get excited about and feel the need to call me and tell me about. Otherwise, it's just kind of casual. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Bieber was there or something, but it was that one that was it was big enough that he called. And you know why?
Why?
Seth will appreciate this. He was such a big fan of, forget all the movies that Johnny Depp, there was one that Johnny was obsessed with was Donnie Brasco. So that
I thought
was
you were
why.
going to say Edward Scissorhands, but
I was just going to say, and we'll move on to football here. Johnny.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
I don't give a damn.
I have your
Complain
answers.
all you want. I just wrote about a 5-hour freaking story about football. Go read it while we're talking about Johnny Depp for
21
2
Jump
minutes.
Street, Johnny Depp is better than Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
He was much cooler.
For sure.
Yeah.
He got weird.
Go ahead, Ann.
Rob Lowe actually didn't go to high school with Johnny Depp. It was Robert Downey Jr., but it was Santa Monica High School.
Okay.
Tony.
So it was Estevez, Robert Downey
Santa
Jr.,
Monica
Rob
High,
Lowe,
full circle, where Sean was offensive coordinator when he was at.
No way.
Yeah.
Seth's brother.
Oh, yeah?
He was OC at Santa Monica High.
Yeah.
That's
when he was out
funny.
there in California.
And now Centerville.
All
That's
those
right.
guys had some issues in their career. All of them.
Yeah.
All right. Can I ask you?
It's about the same
ask
thing as
away.
I think of Santa Monica High and Nederland.
Very close. What do you have to see, if there's a have to see this weekend? What is something like, I need to see this?
Yeah, I guess Edward Scissorhands. You got to go back and watch
That's
it.
it's a great movie. No, man, what you want to see is the opposite of what happened last year. I'm not saying that we came out looking horrible last year, but it was not crisp. It was not clean. And you were just like, in your mind, you were saying to yourself, it's the first game, we'll get over it. But guess what? We didn't. So I want to see a crisp game. I want to see our offensive line. You don't have to be dominant, but don't make any stupid mistakes. Don't let guys slip through the cracks, not block, mental errors, that kind of stuff. Just play good football. Yeah, there's going to be mistakes. Yeah, there's going to be probably interception, something like that just happens. That's football when you're playing and trying to make plays. But you just want to see a crisp game. You want to see them walk out, and I'd love to see the offense put up 50 points and win 50-something-7, something like that.
Yeah,
that would be what I want to see happen. And then you're like, okay, I feel good about where we stand in this kind of a game. You're not going to tell the rest of the season, but at least you can go, we have some talent. Now let's go play Miami and see what we've really got.
I just want to see, I want to see them start off hot.
Yeah.
And score a lot of points and do it early, because I think for this team to succeed this year, they need to score early and often. and set a tone, play from ahead every once in a while, which we haven't seen much of from him. What are the best 2 games for the Aggies in the last 2 years?
Bama LSU.
Without question, right?
Yeah.
And against 2 of probably the 3 best teams they've taken the field against in the last 2 years, and maybe the 2 best. What'd they do? They scored early. They scored often. I mean, they moved the ball on LSU from the start. I don't know if they went down and kicked the field goal. They moved the ball from LSU from the start. They did the same thing against Alabama. We don't see that enough, and I do think that's what I want to see this whole year. I know we're not going to get it every week, but I want that to be kind of a thing that this team does, is they hit the ground running offensively in football games. And like Seth said, if we see it Saturday, it doesn't mean you're going to see it all year. But it would I just want to walk out of Saturday feeling like, okay, that's still in play.
But you didn't feel that way last year, and it led to what we got.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that always happens, but that was very telling of the rest of the year.
Well, that's what I keep trying to reiterate to.
Please do. Please come
I'm trying to think of a
reiterate.
name. The brothers, the brothers
What
Grimm.
do we say that's so
The
ridiculous?
the Bleak brothers. I try to. You guys go into the tank.
We say the same thing you say. We want to see 50.
We do too. But and we're going to be disappointed if we don't.
Yes.
But we also don't think it automatically means that they're not going to be a fast starter for the whole year.
No,
the Bleak brothers do.
I think we've said that.
The Bleak brothers.
We've brought up on several
the
occasions.
Bleaker twins.
Vandy was not representative.
Well, aren't they the Muppets?
No, that's Beaker. That's
Beaker.
Vandy was not representative of the team that they were in 2020. We've brought that up.
Bert and Ernie.
Unfortunately, Kent State and Sam Houston kind of did set a vibe.
Yeah, it is. And look, and Northwestern State, A&M went up and down the field on them, and Jay Sternberger caught a lot of passes. Travion ran wild, and that is kind of how the season went for that offense. Jace was a big-time player for it. Travion led the SEC in rushing. There are certainly things that happen in game 1 that will be for the whole year. But I'd also go back to 17-12 over Vandy, and then the next week, A&M 400-something yards at Alabama, and then a couple weeks later they light up Florida, beat them 41-38. It's hard to tell, but all we have to work with to form our opinion are what we see on Saturday night.
And I can't wait
until a very real test the week after.
I can't wait to just see this
I just want to see a
out
fast
there
starting
on display.
team. I want to see a team that comes out firing, and that's what I remember about the Petrino, Arkansas, Louisville teams. I watched them do that with Lamar to A&M. I watched them do that to Jimbo and Florida State a couple times at Louisville. I watched them do it to A&M, I think 2 of their 3 meetings against Bobby Petrino where they lit it up. And I want to see A&M do that. And here's what's interesting, Nuño. With Connor Wigman last year, I don't think it's a coincidence that was by far A&M's best and second best offensive showing of the 12-game season. Number 1 was LSU. Number 2 was Ole Miss. And what happened in both those games? They came out firing early. Yeah. They had a little tempo to them. They were moving the ball. First downs on the opening drive. Keep things going. Touchdown pass to Evan. I think they went 2 for 2 against Ole Miss on the first couple drives. They started, A-Chain was running from the start against LSU. I want to see that all year, and I think Connor is a type QB you can kind of get that rolling with.
All right, hey, let's hit a break. We'll come back. We got some bills to pay. Costa Vida is going to be all over the place this weekend, especially this Saturday. Make sure you visit them. But just so you know, at the TexAgs tailgate, they've got a special guest serving you. His name is Ryan Targott. He'll be here at the TexAgs tailgate serving you sweet pork and chili lime chicken burritos. So make sure you stop by. A couple things to think about at their food trailer. You got sweet pork, chili lime chicken tacos, and quesadillas available at the food trailer at the Fan Zone at the corner of Joe Route Boulevard and Houston Street, and the sweet pork and chili lime chicken nachos available at the All-American Club and the Yard at Kyle Field. And, of course, Holly is inviting everyone to stop by the South College Station store. Start your game day off right with breakfast tacos, coffee, or stop by for lunch or dinner this weekend and beat the hell out of New Mexico. It's a great place to go eat. It is Costa Vida in South College Station. But remember, you've got a bunch of different options. And if you come out to the TexAgs tailgate, go say hi to Ryan Targosh, who's going to be serving you some awesome food. Again, that we'll have the sweet pork and chili lime chicken burritos available here at the TexAgs tailgate. It is Costa Vida. Go check them out and beat the hell out of New Mexico. And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gordon. How's aggressive clap?
If I did that hard enough, that mic was going to hit you.
Is that what you're hoping for? Let's go. Let's go. All right.
No, it's going to be bad radio. Y'all ready? Plug your ears.
Oh,
what up?
Bad acting.
What up? Hey, let's get the
like a pig six.
the
Freak of the week.
The opening intro music playing. Let's play that. I know y'all got it. Come on.
What?
Which
intro music
for the final countdown?
No, for the kickoff at the stadium.
Oh, that song.
Well, it is.
Let's save that for after the game reaction.
Yeah.
I've already said, Seth, here's my stance. I don't understand why Texas A&M has to be the one college football team out of the 130 that can't just pick a song.
It's just mind-boggling.
But
it better be good.
I appreciate the effort of someone to try, and I think it's a professional and somebody that's successful professional that's an Aggie. Like, I'm looking forward. I'm keeping an open mind to say, okay, why not? Why not? And I have talked to enough people that love the entirety of the whatever they're going to do in terms of the presentation and the style of the intro. I've heard no one I've talked to doesn't think it's going to be a big improvement. They all think it is going to be a nice improvement. So the thing that's going to get the most attention is going to be the song. And while I do sit here and go, I can go on Spotify, and if you gave me a day, I could give you 100 options that would be really acceptable.
But you never know what that artist might come out and say
on
on Twitter,
bold,
Billy.
You know what? Around here, we're so scared of it, it makes me sick. But that doesn't mean that a new song that is created solely for the A&M team intro can't be good. And it doesn't mean that it can't be something that gets you into it and that gets the crowd into it. So I hope it hits.
I'll reserve
I'm
judgment.
rooting for it. I'm reserving
too.
judgment. And to be honest, I'm
want
excited
it to be
hear
great.
it.
Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, so for the power thing, I didn't know what that was. I'm like, I assume it was a song, but it might as well not have been a song to me.
You'd never heard
I'd never heard
Yeah.
that intro until I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we all bought in and liked it. So maybe that's a similar deal. Maybe they turn our intro into a song. Congratulations,
But don't give me the
Surfaces.
thing that the song doesn't matter because it's only 20, 30 seconds of the intro. I
does
don't buy
matter,
that.
man.
It's
Like,
a big freaking deal.
And if you're going to say that, why does music matter? Music
Yeah.
is emotional, man.
Yeah.
And it gets you in whatever mood you want to be in. And I think that, I know it's deep conversation
No, you're
over
right.
here, but it's true, man. You
Like,
can
look.
get hyped up.
Look at
off of
Sandstorm.
music.
Look at Metallica,
Yeah.
Enter Sandman at Virginia Tech. Look at A&M when they had power.
Yeah.
These things, if they catch and if they hit,
They're not
it
going to be
becomes
Lukenbach, I
awesome.
can tell you that much.
Oh, God.
I'm going to get back on that. I'm going to get back on that. Don't ever play that song ever again in Kyle Field. If it happens,
I'm not a fan of
like,
if you're going to play in Texas. I don't
hate
like
it
that
either.
one. I don't hate that one.
But
though.
Lukenbach,
I don't hate that one.
Lukenbach, especially for the occasion that it was played last year, I was like, I want to kill somebody. I want
Now,
to slice
with that
throats.
said, I'm going to say this. I've been around the SEC. Tom Petty, I won't back down.
That's
incredible.
classic.
But A&M, let's not forget, the War Hymn is incredible.
It is. Like, yes.
People come
for
from
sure.
other teams. I remember when they played Miami last year.
Like, and they're
the
in
players,
awe.
after they lost the game, they were standing there and like, one of them grabs me and goes, "What's it?"
Dude, I can remember playing, like, it might have been Notre Dame. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
remember exactly the team, but I remember on many occasions
Like in
playing.
the
and
huddle.
then, like, you're in there, and then somehow the War Hymn is started or ended
you're
at
walking.
that point in time. We're walking up to the line, and they're just like looking. And I guess maybe it was the
Oh,
start of
do
the
they
fourth
ask
quarter.
you like what? Or do
No,
they ever-
they're all just like looking and pointing. But I mean, they see it too. I mean, it's an awesome
and you're like,
occasion.
and they're not ready. No, I like. You go around the SEC and there's incredible atmospheres, and Kyle Field's one of them. And I think of certain iconic songs and stuff. In A&M, Alabama, what they do at Dixieland Delight, and even what they do with the Killers, Mr. Brightside.
Yeah, that's
they
awesome.
go crazy during that. Is it Michigan or Notre Dame that does Don't Stop Believing when you have the whole crowd doing it?
Is it Wisconsin?
Penn State?
I don't
No,
know.
that's Jump Around. Like,
Oh.
I wish A&M had something like that in game that, like, got the whole crowd engaged. We haven't been able to find that, but the War Hymn counts.
Sure
It's
does.
not gonna
It
be-
is. It's not like, let's not
You're gonna
forget.
play in Dixie.
They've got
Everybody
one of the
playing
best.
the fiddle in the
So-
stands.
Air
Oh,
fiddle.
man.
But I will say this. That in-game atmosphere over the last several years has become so much better.
Agreed.
And the addition of the DJ.
Phenomenal. I love it.
My man Casca, I want to say Casca, he has done an incredible job there at Kyle Field. Whatever they're paying him, they need to pay him more. You think of that Alabama game, you think of that LSU game, the atmosphere in there is freaking awesome. It's
beautiful.
Wire to wire. I just wish we had one thing that the whole crowd kind of rallied around, maybe to start the third quarter or something.
We got some things to get into. By the way, somebody texted in the show. I should drop one of these. Ay, que rico. Just for you, Billy. That was just for you. But we move on. They texted the show. Let's do the Sleeper of the Week presented by the Sleep Station. Go see Jared McLeod and the team over there and ask about a Tempur-Pedic mattress in the Specs parking lot at Texas and Harvey and in front of the Lowe's, William D. Fitch on Highway 6. Website, sleepstation.com. All right, let's go with you, Seth.
Yeah.
Who is the Sleeper of the Week this week?
Well, this is going to take a gigantic feather bed, but I'm going to put all the offensive linemen in there.
Yeah.
If we can wake them up, get them moving in the right direction, and hopefully, DeSantis as a true freshman comes out and plays the way that he needs to play, then we'll get off on the right track. But for sure, we need them. I mean, I think that, of course, I'm biased in the sense that it begins up front, but that's on both sides of the line of scrimmage. But we need, especially our offensive line, to go out and step up and allow Connor to operate as efficiently as he can be. And it starts up front with our guys. So, yeah, they're my sleepers, and I think they're going to come out and do a good job.
Billy, who is your sleeper?
Well, first of all, Jared, I'm coming by. I'm buying a bed this week.
Your back aching up?
No, I need a new mattress. It's time.
How many years? What are you?
13 to 14.
Oh, my goodness.
It's crazy.
That's outrageous.
I
you got bed bugs. There's no doubt.
I don't have bed bugs. I get nervous about buying a bed because I don't know. It's like buying a car. Once you buy, it's worse because you're keeping it for 10 plus years. And they say, you can return it in 30 days. Whoever returns a mattress, once you buy it, you're stuck with it. So Sleep Station, I'm coming for you. I get nervous about these picks. And this week's pick for my Sleeper of the Week, because I want to be right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, and this is an interesting one because I think probably on the first play of the game he'll be out there, but I'm going to go with Amari Daniels because so much focus. I've been talking up Le'Veon Moss since he got here, and I think he has a chance to be an exceptional back at A&M. We know all the excitement surrounding Reuben Owens, and it's definitely warranted. But I'm going to go with Amari Daniels to pop a couple big runs in this one and have a nice game to open the season. This is a guy that's probably got his eyes very squarely set on next week and getting his crack at his hometown Miami Hurricanes. So he's probably pretty dialed in right now. I'm going with Amari Daniels on offense, and then defensively, I'm going to say I think defensively, I'm going to really throw a sleeper at you. Not really a sleeper. I'm going to go with Malik Silla as
I was just talking
not
to
starting,
Steve
but a
about
pass
them.
rusher that comes into this game and collects a couple of sacks.
That'd be nice.
I think that he started to make a move in the second half of fall camp, where I think people are starting to get excited about him as a pass rusher.
Can we do a quick Freak of the Week before we hit this break?
Yeah, I'm going
Wait.
to – I don't know anything about – what? Oh, me? By myself?
That's the same.
3, 2,
It's
1.
the
It's the
Freak of the Week.
Somebody had to do it.
You helped. That was
Okay.
great.
Very good. No, I don't know anything about Mexico State's offense, pardon me, but I'm going to go with McKinley, and I think that he's going to be
It's
out
not
there.
New Mexico State, so even if you did know a lot about
Well,
the
whatever, dude. You know what I'm talking about. See, it doesn't matter. I don't care who – if it starts with New Mexico, I don't care.
Okay.
So anyways, McKinley, I think that he's going to go out there and dominate this offensive line, and it's going to be something to see. So I'm excited to watch him play.
Okay.
Defensively, freak of the week, I'm going to go with you went with McKinley. I'm going to go with Edger and Cooper. I want to see 45 flying around and making plays.
Nice.
He's been a good, solid player for A&M the last couple of years. I want to see him ascend and make that next step. And I want to see Edger and Cooper get out there because of guys like McKinley Jackson up front and fly around and really and not just make tackles, but I want to see him make a couple of pretty impactful plays there.
All right, let's hit a break.
Like he did against LSU when he forced that fumble by Jaden Daniels.
When we come back, pick 6 time.
And the freak of the week on offense.
Oh, you want to do that then?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Might as well.
TexAgs Radio. We're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. As you know, sometimes this segment goes a little bit long, so keep it with TexAgs.com if it goes past the radio time, and keep it with our YouTube page. We'll try to keep that going. All right, let's get into. Oh, you wanted to tell us your offensive freak of the week. He's not listening.
I'll go. I'm gonna go. I guess according to TexAgs, he's gonna win the Heisman, but I'm gonna go with Connor Wiegman. I can't wait to watch him play. I'm excited. Whatever. I mean,
I don't want you to be like
Wiegman,
Hunter
my bad.
and start the next multiple years.
Who is it? Who is it?
My favorite thing, and Connor's going to have to top it.
Adagio.
Yeah, you call him Adagio. Right now, Connor has done 2 things that have really, made me just really happy as a football fan. And one of them was beating LSU at Kyle Field last year.
Sure.
The other one was, committing to and picking A&M, signing with A&M. The third one so far is running roughshod over Lonnie in College Park and eliminating them from the playoffs and sending Lord Negative home. Now Lord Negative is at Connors High School.
I know, at Bridgeland. They had a big first week.
Yeah,
man.
they did. Lonnie's a great coach. One of the better. I think he's one of the most under
took it to Cy. Well, not
appreciated.
Took it, they beat Cy Fair. That was
head
a big
coaches
win.
in the Houston area. Lonnie's doing a great job, but Wiggy ended the season. Now Lonnie's at Bridgeland.
Can't beat him, join him.
Exactly. So I'm going to go freak of the week since you picked Connor. Offensively, I'm going to go Evan Stewart. I think this is going to be a big game for number 1. I think he's going to go out there and
180 yards.
Well, look, last year.
I'll take it.
Last year,
let's get 2 Heisman candidates.
Last year, when he really hadn't done anything yet, it was nothing. It was his first college game. He was open deep a lot. And Haynes King, that was a struggle that day. He was underthrowing, he was overthrowing, and I think Evan, I don't know if he had 80 yards, 70 yards, whatever it was, but it could have been about 200.
Right.
And I'd like to see him get behind this New Mexico defense. I'd like to see him catch a short pass on the run, take it across the field, turn it up, and house it. I think we can see a big game from Evan.
All right, let's get into our pick 6. We're definitely not going to be able to
We're
finish
gonna
that
go
on
over
radio.
a little bit, David.
That's all right. They pay me double time now. Let's get into it. Our pick 6 now here on TexAgs Radio.
Utah over Florida.
Well, yes, that was pretty.
Who didn't see that coming?
Oh my goodness.
Did you pick Florida?
No, I didn't pick Florida. Did you?
No.
Colorado from the Pac-12.
I don't think so. You could probably pull tape at me, but I'm pretty sure I've got way too much faith in Kyle Whittingham that I didn't care. I didn't care if Rising was playing or not. If they had to win that game 10-7, they would have won it 10-7.
Is this Colorado game at TCU?
It is at TCU, 20 and a half.
What do I look like? Did I know where the games are played?
No, I forgot we do the line, so I'm like, what does it matter?
Oh, okay.
And then I see that 20 and a half.
20 and a half.
Yeah, I'll go with I hate TCU, but I'm going to go with them. Who was I watching or listening to that Colorado could just be awful? Like, they have so little talent besides a few players. Anyways.
I'm going with Colorado. Colorado. I'm going with TCU, and I hope TCU beats them so bad.
Yeah,
I don't like the way Dion has acted. I don't like
anything about it.
I don't like what they've done with that team. I don't like his son just going in there and being the starter from day one. I don't like the Barstool hype of it all. I don't like Shedeur Sanders getting Heisman mention. I mean, I don't have a problem with it if he goes and beats TCU and goes for 400 yards, put him on the list. But right now, the fact he's mentioned, it's just all because of the hype and the name. And we'll see. I think it's P.T. Barnum-esque right now.
Oh, very.
By the way, I was told to inform you guys the bottom team is the home team.
Okay.
I figured it out when
Thanks.
I saw Texas A&M at the
Don't
bottom.
put me in with him with this one, okay?
Oh, whatever, Aloe.
All right, let's go now to Virginia ACC
Hello.
at number 12, Tennessee, SEC Network, 11 a.m., Nissan Stadium, Saturday, ABC, Tennessee favored by 28.5.
They really put in a lot of work picking the good games this week, didn't they?
I don't even.
There weren't any good games.
I have no idea.
There had to be a spread less than 28.5.
We always pick a couple SEC games. Pardon. Sorry.
That's fine.
Jiminy
Whatever.
Christmas.
I don't even know anything about
Can we
Virginia.
complain about more things on this show? Go ahead.
I'm gonna.
God.
I don't know. I'm gonna,
I just want people
That's
to
a
be
that's
good
a
at what they
huge
do.
margin of victory between a decent team. I think I'm gonna go with Virginia to cover that.
All right, Billy.
4 touchdowns, 52 to.
That would mean Virginia
17.
is awful, and Virginia just can't be that.
They're
bad.
pretty bad.
I
They
have
won
no idea.
3 games last year.
I'm actually
did
going to
they?
go with Tennessee to cover
I
at
am too.
home.
Fine.
I
didn't realize they were that bad.
Zip.
I think Tennessee wins that one like 52
All right,
to.
I'll stick with it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say
52
they're
to
covered.
21.
They're covered.
All right. Is this game good enough for you? Number 3, number 21, North Carolina, ACC versus the SEC, South Carolina, 6:30, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, ABC broadcast. North Carolina favored by 2.5. Seth, go first. Please.
I think North Carolina is gonna cover that.
I agree. Billy,
I'm actually picking South Carolina in that one.
to win?
Yeah. Oh, there. I see the camera's there. I can't see the spreads. South Carolina's favored by 2.5. Yeah, I think Carolina wins and covers.
North Carolina is favored by 2.5.
Okay, then I really think I'm picking South Carolina. I'm picking South Carolina to win, and cover. Obviously,
It's a big week already.
South Carolina 31. South Carolina 34. North Carolina 31. Shootout.
Okay. Then we've got number
You guys
5.
are getting a little too far with this North Carolina quarterback. You're loving
Drake
him.
May.
You're loving
I'm
him.
just not big on South Carolina.
I'm not either, but I'm also not big on North Carolina. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. I think Rattler and May are going to throw for a lot of yards in that one.
Number 5, LSU versus number 8, Florida State, 6:30, Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Sunday. LSU's favored by 2.5.
That's a hard one.
That
Can we
is a
save
tough
that?
one. That is a
Can we
tough
do
one.
Clemson Duke first?
All right, we'll go fine.
Yeah, and then fine. I'm going to go with Clemson to cover that. There's no way on earth. If they can't cover that, then we've got problems.
Not showing a lot of respect for Mike Elko, are we?
Well, I'm sorry.
13.5. Hey, Clemson has not been an offensive juggernaut these
Garrett
last
Riley,
couple of
buddy.
years since Trevor Lawrence left. They have not been an offensive juggernaut. But Garrett Riley, Cade Klubnik, I'm with you. I'm going to pick Clemson in a slight cover. I think Duke, we're not giving them enough credit, but I'm going to go Clemson.
I mean,
in a slight
have they
cover.
earned that credit? No.
I think they've earned the credit last year. I think they earned the credit because it's a Mike Elko defense. But I just don't think they have the horses, and I think the Riley Klubnik era gets started in style, just like I think the Petrino Wigman era gets kicked off in style.
Too.
Do we jump to A&M or go back to
Sure.
LSU? All right. New Mexico at number 23, Texas A&M, 6 o'clock, Caulfield, ESPN broadcast. A&M favored by 37.5.
I think A&M wins this deal 50+7, and they'll cover that. I want to see A&M look very smooth and crisp, get out of there with no injuries, and move on to Miami.
I'm right on the cut line of like 48-10, 48-13, and I'm going to go cover barely.
Barely cover, that's what I have.
Something like that. That might be, if I'm picking a score, I might go 49-10.
So the LSU game I'm struggling with because it's all about that LSU secondary. If they play well, I think they win and they cover, but they take on a Florida State team.
Florida State's got a 6'7" receiver that can ball. They've got Keon Coleman, the transfer from Michigan State, who is a certified badass in the Big Ten last year, but he's still good when you see it. Keon Coleman's that. Those guys against that LSU secondary without Mason Smith, LSU better get a pass rush because Hunter can sling it all over the field, and he's a playmaker. He was a playmaker last year. That's a good freaking game.
I know it is. that's gonna be a really good game. I'm gonna say I'll go with Florida State to cover that.
Billy,
which means they win.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna take Florida State and those points. I picked LSU to win earlier in the week on the show with Caroline, and maybe she convinced me because she's LSU, purple and gold to the core. So maybe I felt like I just didn't want to do it. But without the threat of Caroline sitting here, I'm gonna go Florida State because I think that game is a coin flip, and if you're going to give me 2.5 points and they're playing in Florida and not in Death Valley, I know it's not a home game, but it's not in Death Valley. It's not in New Orleans. I'm going to go with Florida State and take my chances.
Can I get a ruling? Are you allowed to have 2 different picks on 2 different bits of content? He went with LSU with Caroline. He's going with Florida State with us.
Did you really?
Yeah, I picked LSU.
Is that allowed?
Stick to your guns.
I picked LSU like 31.
He must not care about that other one as much as he cares about this.
I picked LSU 31-27, but the more I think about the question marks in LSU's secondary, look, if there's a chance, we haven't talked about this, there's a chance for the SEC to have a
bad start. I was just
weekend.
Looking at this, I was like, man, I don't like
and listen,
that.
South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Utah, LSU, Florida State, and then next week A&M gets thrown in the middle of that. A&M's at Miami, and Alabama with a lot of question marks got the 4-time upcoming defending 4 in a row national champion Texas Longhorns going in there. So,
which by the way, 2 of those teams are going to be possibly 3 part of my future SEC picks. I want to get Clemson and UNC in there. Oh, yeah. Of course, Florida State, but that's another
after
story.
This news today with them taking SMU and was it Stanford and Cal?
Yeah.
This is going to really make teams like Florida State and Clemson go.
Like,
we want to get that.
Yeah, what are we doing? That's a disaster.
Yeah. I don't think there's any question. It's just a matter of where and when. Do they go SEC? Does the Big Ten? I mean, it sucks.
Clemson UNC doesn't make anybody mad, so let's get them.
To me, college football just sucks now.
It does.
Like,
it's
it doesn't
stupid.
suck, but this thing sucks.
Hey, I'm all on board on the 64 teams, like 1 or 2 relegated teams a year. Boom. Let's go.
I thought it was just fine the way it was.
I mean, I did too, but you know what?
Fine the way
hey,
it was. Maybe
this
there
is
were
a disaster.
Too many bowl games.
This is a disaster, so let's just make it what it is going to ultimately be. Just make it 64 at-large teams and have the bottom people, I don't know how many there are, 4, 2, 1, I don't know, fight, and then you get out, and then maybe Central Florida comes up or somebody like that. I don't know. So I'm not trying to
I just don't think there's going to be enough teams to come up because I think so many football teams and athletic departments are going to be so devastated by that, and they're going to decide, like, it's not worth it. We're going to play.
None of this makes sense, Billy. Like, think of Stanford track going all the way to
it's so stupid.
It's
and
the dumbest
just about
thing
money,
I've ever heard.
And you have honestly just are we all fair?
No,
I'll tell you what's good. The SEC is the only legitimate
making these decisions.
The only legitimate conference is the SEC. Like, I could make an argument that all of us makes sense.
TV matters more
Everything
than all
else
of it.
that they do
money
is
matters
ridiculous.
More than all of it, and you've got people that are wanting to make the most money they can, and it's greed driving this, and greed drives most things in this country.
But can there be intelligent greed where we do something that's smart and make money?
Apparently not, because there's too many entities and factions, and I just think, look, NIL, the portal, tampering, the NCAA.
There's so many issues. You're right.
Realignment.
After all
this
this
is crappy time.
You have way too many issues to fix. For real. Like, there are real issues that have to be fixed, and they're not getting addressed. So it is just a mess.
We're looking up, and Stanford and Cal are about to be in the Atlantic Coast Conference. USC and UCLA,
Big Ten,
and now Oregon as well, and Washington are in the Big Ten. The only one that did it right, but look, the SEC has a big role in causing and creating all this, and so do the Texas Longhorns. Texas, you got to go back and say they play, and I know people in Austin will say, well, Arkansas and South Carolina left years ago. what we're seeing happen right now, a lot of that had to do with Texas running off Nebraska, Colorado, then A&M and Missouri. And a lot of that had to do with the unequal revenue share in the Big 12, Texas trying to push all their stuff on Nebraska. No Prop 48. We want to do this. We want to do that. And Nebraska said, we're out, when they were still a very prominent program.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Longhorn Network came along. And then that made everyone in the Big 12 go, what? And then A&M left. But right before that, Texas tried to put together the Pac-16 and leave a bunch of teams behind because A&M didn't go, Texas had to blow that up. They wanted to go there instead of somewhere else so they could keep their network. They were keeping their network in the Pac-12. A&M said no. Then they stayed. Then A&M left. And Texas was stuck with a bunch of teams that they tried to leave in the middle of the night. They tried to ditch the Kansas, the Texas Tech, the Baylors, the K-State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. I think not Oklahoma State. They tried to ditch those schools, and then they were stuck with them. So where was that culture? Where was that, cohesion within the league? They were not pulling together. And Texas and OU realized they needed to get out. They get out. Now we see this. This is bad for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
College football, when we watch the games, will still be fun. But this is the worst time in the history of college athletics.
I would agree, man.
In terms of a lack of leadership, a lack of structure, and danger on the horizon for this game. But
no end in sight.
But
there is none.
We're all going to go out and watch, and we're all going to watch LSU and Florida State, and we're all going to watch North Carolina and South Carolina, and we all watched Utah and Florida last night, and we're all going to get out to Kyle Field tomorrow. So
yeah,
it's
so
fine for
but
now.
in the future, you're going to watch Stanford, North Carolina State, and you're going to be like, that's a conference game.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I think we'll all adjust, but the powers that be have to fix a lot, because it's not only the conferences playing elsewhere in these matchups that you're not used to and really don't care about. It's also the players. We're talking about Keon Coleman. Who's he? Well, he's at Michigan State. Guys, people in the Big Ten know about him. Well, nobody in the SEC and that footprint or Florida know about him. But now he's there. You watch college football with all these transfers at quarterback and every other position. It's too hard to keep up with. The brand loyalty. How are you loyal to?
But is there
your
a person
program
that
when
we
the
can
players
just
aren't?
blame? Is there like one person that we can blame that just blew it? Because somebody blew it.
Dan Beebe.
Well, Dan
Not
Beebe
Dan
blew it.
Beebe. What's his Dan Beebe? I play
That's the Big 12 guy.
What's it? Emmert.
Mark
Yeah,
Emmert.
he's a big one in my opinion.
Somebody blew it, and they have created just
I think
a
LeBron
trickle that turned
James, you
into
can point a
waterfall.
finger in that direction with him and that governor or the senator out of California that started this whole, that went out of their way, and where California approved that NIL law early on because LeBron and Mav Carter were wanting to represent athletes, and they were wanting to represent them as early as they could. And LeBron said, I didn't get a chance. You were never going to go play college. You went and got paid, and you should have, right out of high school. There are a lot of dominoes, but I go back to the Ed O'Bannon case where the NCAA, when he was suing way back in the day, Ed O'Bannon played in 95, and then years later decided to go after. You had that much time to say, man, this isn't going to end here. Anybody with common sense to see this and go, this isn't going to end
But
here.
even today.
And they didn't do anything.
But today, like alignment, stupid. NIL is what it is. But the transfer portal, that can literally be fixed just by signing some document, dude. That's the easiest thing on earth, and they're not doing anything to address it.
You know
and
what
it's
people
destroying
say when
athletics.
I ask that? You know what people say? They go, they'll never be able to walk that back. It's out of the bag.
That's
my
a lie.
question is why?
That's not true.
It's
NIL is that
the
way.
Easy answer.
Yes, it is, and it's so easy.
Yeah,
it's frustrating, man. Sorry. Anyways.
No, the easy answer to anything is to say, it's too late now.
Oh yeah,
can't change it.
That one you can't change.
Always change.
NIL you can't. That's law. That's been proven. Supreme Court, all that junk. That is what it is. But the transfer portal, that starts at the top, man. Somebody can make that decision, and yes, somebody can do a
Who
weird
makes
lawsuit.
it though now?
I don't.
If the NCAA and people don't want to abide by that, is it this new mega conference you're talking about? Well, it's not there yet.
Well, no conference is going to do it because that would make them weak.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to say is the NCAA can do it.
They can try.
I don't know how yet they could try,
How
but they're not
motivated
even
are
trying.
they?
Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yep.
All right, guys. Good times.
David, where are you heading?
Nowhere. I gotta record some spots for Louie. You want to? We can do another whole show.
Get to work.
I got lunch at noon, so we got some time here, man. We got 45 minutes to just sit and talk.
All right, let's talk.
All right, let me ask you this.
Let's see where we're going.
I'm going to ask Seth a question here.
Okay, Seth, I'll let you answer.
Who is your – I want you to pick a player on defense and on offense that you're most excited about entering this season that is not a preseason all-SEC candidate. In other words, not one of the – let's say just not one of the are currently established star players, let's say.
Yeah, I mean –
and that includes QB1. That includes Wigman.
We talked about him to begin the show, but York on defense that's an exciting thing to think about because you always want to have a new guy. I mean, especially at linebacker where we needed help. And if he steps up and he's the guy that maybe we think he can be by earning a starting position as a true freshman, that would be exciting to see him fly around. I mean, I think Edgerrin Cooper is a great player.
Yeah.
And so I thought that from day one with his ability to be able to fly around like that. But maybe, York comes in and he's even better than what Cooper was when he started out.
I want to play a game with Seth, David, and you were around during this time, so you can help. For the people that are still listening, we've talked a lot about New Mexico, enough about New Mexico. We've talked a lot about this team and Saturday, and we're going to have a ton to talk about afterwards. Let's talk about true freshmen in recent A&M history, going back to like the mid-'90s. When I got here, early 90s, you got here mid to late, and so did you. True freshmen, we're going to pick one impact at each position and see if we can do this. Okay? We'll go faster than you think, but this will be fun because the fans can interact, and we're doing it on the fly just like you guys are. So we start at QB. Go. Last 30 years.
True freshman? Reggie McNeil.
Yeah, Connor, Reggie.
Yeah, Connor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll go Reggie. Beat number one. I'll go Reggie there. You got others. You had Kellen Mond. You had Stephen McGee late in the year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, what Connor did, knocking off number 5. Offensive line.
Luke Jokel.
Yeah.
Jake Matthews.
Yeah.
Those would be the two. Those by
Cam?
far.
Oh, not Cam, excuse me.
Cam Dewberry last year. Foster, Fothery.
I was thinking Kenyon.
Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
I would go, my 3 would be
Eric McCoy started? Did Eric McCoy start?
No, I think he redshirted. I'll go Jokel and Matthews, stand alone, 1, 2, and Kenyon probably number 3 there.
That's accurate.
Okay. Running back.
Devon. I mean,
what he did.
Yeah, I mean, he was an Orange Bowl MVP by the end of it, but there's been a bunch. I
know. I was about to say there's probably
I
that
think
position.
Christian Michael.
Yeah.
I think
Travion Williams.
Williams, I think, was 1,000-yard back as a freshman, or maybe I think he went 1,000, then went back. Well, here's one for you.
Greg Hill. Rodney Thomas.
I think Greg Hill redshirted because you had Darren Lewis. Rodney played as a true freshman.
Yeah.
Maybe Greg didn't. Leland, I think, redshirted.
By the way, was Bucky a
Mike
freshman?
Goodson.
Yeah, that's right.
Had a big freshman year impact.
Was Bucky
Jamar
a freshman?
Toombs, Seth.
That's right.
Helped y'all win a Big 12 title.
That's right. Absolutely.
Bucky, I think, redshirted.
Yeah, Bucky did. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, he had a weird. No, he came in and then didn't Kevin Murray get injured, come back, and then Bucky redshirted that year, and then Bucky came back.
There was something weird.
Weird
like
like
that
that happened.
You're right. People right now are correcting us like
sure.
crazy. But we're doing this on the fly here. Wide receiver. Terrence Murphy.
I feel like Terrence did great. I thought Evan did a fine job last year.
Evan will be way up there on that list. Mike Evans redshirted.
Yeah, he did.
I think Swope played as a true freshman. I have to check that. Oh, I'll tell you one.
That's a tough one.
Well, Jeff Fuller and Easy Wachaku. Easy had a breakout. Easy his freshman year, like I think there was a game where he had like 4 touchdowns. Yeah, that's a. Anybody else? I know we're forgetting some.
No, I'm sure we are.
Oh, probably the best true freshman year, Christian Kirk.
Yeah,
Christian Kirk playing against his hometown team, punt return for a touchdown and a catch and run to ice the game score against Arizona State. First game his true freshman year. So Christian.
Did Bethel do anything?
Yeah, he was good his freshman year. Bethel though might have redshirted.
No, I think he didn't. I don't think he did.
That's a good question. I feel like maybe he set a year, but maybe not. You might be right.
I'm not saying. Well, we'll get there.
Let's see. And again, this isn't live radio. We're just having fun, so we can have these little pauses.
I got 5
and
minutes.
Okay, let's go. Tight end. Martellus Bennett.
Yeah.
Jalen Weidemeyer.
Donovan Green last year.
Donovan Green last year. You're right. Those are ones that stand out. I think Spiller and Campbell might have both redshirted. Maybe Spiller. Dan redshirted. Okay. D-line. Ty Warren, Sam Adams. Sam as a freshman was just dominant.
Well, come on. Myles Garrett.
Miles might have had. Miles and Sam probably had the best true freshman years. I guarantee you there's some sleepers we haven't talked about. DeMarvin Leal.
I mean, like my year, my class had 3 true freshmen.
But they didn't start.
I know, but they contributed.
Rocky, Ron, and Flemings. Yeah,
Ron, Rocky.
But it was that second year where they really.
This is funny.
Yeah.
People are texting the line, and Louis' show's going on. He's so confused. What are you talking about, Bucky? It's funny. Sorry.
I love it. Okay, we're forgetting some D linemen, but that's okay.
Sure Ty? No?
I said Ty. Ty was one of the early ones. Okay. Corner, Sammy Davis, number 1.
Just steal my.
Who else at corner?
Oh man, I don't know.
They haven't. A&M just hasn't been great at corner. Tyreek Chappelle
started in the Arkansas.
I'll tell you
game?
somebody that was pretty good as a true freshman for A&M. Devontae Harris.
Okay.
He actually ended up having a good true freshman year, and then at safety,
Bryce.
Terrence Kill.
Yeah, Terrence Kill. Bryce flashed it, but I think you got guys that would have had a bigger, Damani Richardson.
Yeah.
Armani. I'll tell you one. Armani Watts.
Armani
Watts, absolutely. I'll tell you another. I don't think he redshirted, but he might have. Donovan Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just recent SEC.
I know.
We should have kept it to SEC and Big 12. Jackson Appel, perhaps, might have. And then at linebacker, because Torian York will end it there.
Cooper did well, I thought.
Von Miller. I think Von played standing up as a true freshman. But I mean, I'm talking about like a big time year. Did Dotson crack in there as a true freshman, or was it his second year? Tyrell Dodson might have been a guy.
Well, we said it weeks ago, but obviously this starts with Dat. That's where the
he was a
red shirt.
He was a red
obviously
shirt?
Dat.
So obviously
but I mean,
obviously not. Yeah,
he would have been right. He would have rolled right off the tongue.
I just watched the documentary too.
I don't think they've had a lot of true freshmen. Yeah. I'll tell you one, but I think it was in a 3-4. Justin Warren, he was a Fran guy. Justin was a guy. He was a 5-star type recruit. Maybe Warwick redshirted too. I'm trying to think of true freshman linebackers that have come in since the mid '90s and had a significant impact.
At punter, I was thinking Shane redshirted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Tough one at linebacker. Maybe Torian York
is the guy.
You guys start going. Could he be the top, true freshman linebacker? Since in the Big 12 SEC era, we're probably forgetting somebody. I know, but we're again
On
Has
the
a chance.
fly.
Oh, that gum looks good. All right, let's
Might
go,
be
Seth.
yours.
We got lunch to go. Why would
All
it be
right.
mine? Oh, I probably left it here one day.
Good
Right,
session.
Have that back. All right.
Take it back.